I, 27M, found out my fiancé's, 26F, dad died last month, no one told us, and she missed the funeral. Hi, I don't even really know how to start this or what I'm asking exactly. I guess I just want to understand what happened, and maybe get some advice on how to help my fiancé deal with this, because it's a lot. And I think she's starting to blame herself, which she really shouldn't. So I proposed to my fiancé back in March. Her dad was the only person I talked to beforehand. I asked for his blessing and he was super kind about it. I only met him a couple times before that, but we had a good conversation and I could tell he really loved her. The thing is, I only met his wife or stepmom once, that same day. It was brief and polite, but that's it. Everything else about our engagement planning and updates was through her dad. Her dad has another kid with the stepmom, a teenage son, 17. My fiancé always kind of kept some distance from that part of her dad's life. It wasn't like she hated them or anything, just, they weren't close. Her dad would check in, sometimes visit her on his own, but it always kind of felt like he had two separate families. I never really thought too hard about it. It just was what it was. Then in April, while we were starting to figure out the engagement party and save the dates and all that, he passed away. We didn't even know. We didn't hear anything from anyone. No call, no text, not even a weird silence, nothing. We only found out this week because one of her cousins posted something online about missing him after the funeral, and my fiancé texted them like, "What do you mean, the funeral?" And they were like, "Everyone was surprised you didn't show." She just shut down. I think she's still in shock. Her dad is gone. She didn't get to say goodbye. She didn't even get told he was dead. The funeral already happened. She missed it. And no one told her, not her stepmom, not even her own brother, not anyone. And what makes it worse is, now that she's tried to reach out to people, cousins, her aunt, even her dad's friend, she keeps getting these weird half-responses that make her feel like she should have known or been there. Like they're judging her for not showing up when nobody invited her in the first place. She keeps asking me if she did something wrong. She's wondering if her dad was mad at her. I do think he was happy for us, but now I don't even know what's true anymore. I guess I just don't understand how something like this happens. I know grief makes people act strange and there might be stuff we don't know. I don't want to assume the worst about her stepmom. Maybe she was overwhelmed, or didn't have our contact info, though I feel like she must have had some way to reach out. But I also don't want to make excuses for someone who let my fiancé find out her dad died a month later from a Facebook post. It's starting to feel uncomfortably close to full-on evil stepmom territory, and I hate even thinking that, but this just feels so cold. She's devastated and I don't know what I'm supposed to say or do. I can't fix it. She just keeps saying she can't believe she wasn't there, that she wasn't even given the chance. And I'm angry too, but mostly I just feel helpless. And sad for her. I guess what I'm really asking is, how do I help my fiancé grieve someone she didn't even get the chance to say goodbye to? She keeps wondering if her dad was upset with her, or if she missed some sign, and now the way her family's reacting is only making her feel worse. I want to support her without making her feel like she has to perform grief on anyone else's timeline, or carry blame for something that was never her fault. TLDR, my fiancé wasn't told her dad died and found out a month later from a cousin's post. She missed the funeral, didn't get to say goodbye, and now people are making her feel guilty for not being there. I don't know how to help her process something so painful and confusing. Update, I found where her dad is buried and got contact info for who I think is her half-brother. When I showed her the profile to confirm, she shut down and panicked, but it did confirm for me that it's definitely him. She doesn't want to reach out right now, but I might. Comments. Commenter 1. I am so sorry for what you both are going through. That is absolutely heartbreaking. She wasn't told and frankly, unforgivable in my book. She deserves the chance to say goodbye. The best thing you can do is support her, maybe try to figure out if he was buried, and if so, maybe try to visit the grave so she can have some form of closure. If he was cremated, maybe still plan something for her to be able to celebrate him and say goodbye in her own way. Either way, this situation is super fucked up where she did nothing wrong, the family is seriously messed up for not telling her. Reply, thank you so much for saying this. It really means a lot right now. I think hearing someone else call it what it is, unforgivable, helps validate what she's feeling, even though I know she's still trying to find some reason for why it happened. We've talked about trying to find out where he was buried, but it's so hard to even know where to start when no one's talking to her. I think you're right though, she needs a way to say goodbye, whatever that ends up looking like. I just don't want her carrying this weight like she did something wrong, because she didn't. Commenter 2, I 100% you and her are totally validated in how you feel, this is seriously next level wrong of the family. I wish you both healing and I really hope she is able to find some way to say goodbye. And I'm sure it's impossible for her to see right now, but she didn't do anything wrong and just may need to be reminded of that for a bit. Reply, thank you so much for this. It really means a lot. I think hearing that she's not crazy for feeling this way or overreacting is going to help more than she even realizes right now. She keeps replaying everything in her head and wondering what she missed or what she did wrong, and I've been trying to remind her that none of this was her fault. But I know it's going to take time for her to believe that. We're definitely going to try to find a way for her to say goodbye, something just for her, even if it's small. Just, thank you again for the kindness. Commenter 3. This is really common, the first kids, especially daughters, are thrown away when there's a new family. Then they are blamed for being ostracized. I mean this sincerely, you need to call people on her dad's side of the family and gently but powerfully shame the shit out of them. Tell them how absolutely devastated this woman is, ask them why no one reached out. Stick up for her. First of all, you sticking up for her in the right way will really give them pause and will probably bring them around to her POV. Second, don't be surprised if the stepmother spread rumors and lied. Don't let this go. Make sure you reach out and ask them to explain because the love of your life is devastated by loss and betrayal. Commenter 4. She did nothing wrong. Her stepmom did it on purpose. For whatever reason, she decided to be cruel. It's not your fiancé's fault. She should definitely let everyone know the complete truth. That when he passed, no one told her. She would have come. She would have said her goodbye with them, but that opportunity was stolen from her. You should definitely plan on a way for her to say her goodbyes and celebrate his life. Reply, we're working on finding a way for her to say goodbye on her own terms. It won't make up for what was taken from her, but she deserves a chance to honor him in her own way. When she's ready, we'll also make sure the truth is known, because right now too many people either believe lies or are pretending they didn't know. Update. We finally found out where her dad was buried, and I managed to get in touch with her half-brother. When I showed her who I thought it was, she panicked and did not want anything to do with it. She still does not know I went ahead and talked to him. To be honest, I expected lies or deflection, but what I got was more frustrating. He was not defensive, just cryptic. He said he knows exactly why her side of the family cut her off and that she knows too. He would not tell me what it was and just kept saying I should ask her because I would not believe him anyway. Then he added, sarcastically, that if she is even capable of telling me the truth, I would already know. He did say he had tried calling and texting her after their dad passed, but she has him blocked on everything. He also said he tried to make sure she was included, but she made it clear a long time ago that she wanted nothing to do with him. He knows she has always hated him just for existing. He ended the conversation by saying he was calling her bluff. That she does not really want anything to do with her dad's side of the family. He even asked, did she ever say she was inviting any of them to the wedding? That part stung a little. I will not pretend to know the full story, but I am starting to feel like this is not a case of one person being awful. It feels more like years of silence and resentment that turned into something cruel. We did get some clarity on the legal side. There probably will not be a fight with the stepmom. The brother told me everything that is needed. We are working with a lawyer, but it will take time. The executor has up to 2 years before probate has to start. Even then, anything she may be entitled to would be split evenly with him, and only applies to accounts that were solely in her father's name. We are not expecting anything substantial, but she deserves to know she was not forgotten. Since real closure is out of reach, we are creating our own. Someone suggested planting a memorial tree. We loved that idea. We are currently looking for a good starter tree, and she is going to write her father a letter to bury under it. It is not a solution, but it is something real and peaceful she can hold on to. There probably will not be another update. I am realizing that trying to untangle her family's damage might only hurt our relationship. If I want a healthy marriage, I need to protect her peace more than I need to win a fight that was lost a long time ago. TLDR, found her dad's burial site. I talked to her half-brother, he says she was cut off for a reason she knows, and that she blocked him. We got a lawyer, but anything owed will be split. We're planting a tree with a letter for closure. No more digging. Comments. Commenter 1. And what did your fiancé say? Reply, she does not know. I have not told her that I talked to her brother. Right now, I do not see a version of that conversation that ends well. If I tell her, I risk breaking trust and reopening wounds she might not be ready to face. So for now, I am just focusing on supporting her through the grief and letting her heal at her own pace. Commenter 2. But this just shows your immaturity. Marriage is about communication and being able to say things like, honey, I need to tell you something. I was trying to do a good thing and I think it backfired. I reached out to your stepbrother because I wanted to get information on the burial site so I could facilitate you having a better goodbye with your father. Your stepbrother told me a bunch of things that I want to tell you. I have anxiety around telling you this because I don't want to upset you, but I need to be honest here and not keep a secret. I don't put much weight into what he told me, but he told me X, Y, and Z. Do you want to talk about that stuff or do you prefer to let it go? I'm fine either way, but I want you to know I did have that conversation in an attempt to do something nice and thoughtful for you. Based on what he told me, I wished I hadn't reached out, but I just wanted to make sure you were aware. Commenter 3. Look, it's pretty telling that nobody told your fiancé about his death. She has aunts, uncles, cousins, right? Are they all blocked too, or is there actually a good reason why they didn't contact your fiancé? I suspect you won't have a peaceful marriage when she has been so secretive and it's pretty obvious that the rest of the family is not on her side. Commenter 4. Well, now I'm curious why she was cut off. Reply. Same, but there isn't a way I can find out without admitting I went behind her back to find out she was cut off. Commenter 5. For the sake of your future you have to know her past. All of this is quite weird. Commenter 6. My sister cut off my parents and she was actually very much in the wrong. As her sister who was not involved at all in the issue, I could see the matter objectively. In our family's instance, my dad refused to continue putting up with my BAL's repeated disrespect towards him and my mother, so my sister chose her partner over her family. My sister deemed my father doing this as toxic. You do not have the full story or even a single piece of it. If you were truly building trust, she would tell you the full story or at least her side of it. She wouldn't be all secretive about it. Reply. Every family dynamic is different, and while I understand your experience, it doesn't mean the same applies here. I fully agree that I don't have the full story yet, but I also know that trying to drag it out of her right after losing her father isn't the right time. She will tell me her side when she's ready, and I will ask when the moment is appropriate. Choosing to show compassion in the middle of her grief doesn't mean I'm ignoring trust, it means I'm not turning a painful moment into an interrogation. Commenter 7. I get your decision not to dig deeper into her family's past drama, but why did you trust that brother's vague, she knows and won't tell, claim without pressing him further? That cryptic statement really threw me for a loop. Did he really have some juicy secret stashed away? Reply. Exactly. That is the corner I am in. Worst case, he is telling the truth, and that means my soon-to-be wife blocked her own brother and never told me why, and now I have gone behind her back to talk to him. There is no winning move here. Either I confront the woman I love and possibly blow up her trust in me, or I support her and focus on helping her grieve and heal. At the end of the day, only one of those options leads to a peaceful and lasting marriage. I chose her. Commenter 8. Are you sure? I'm not saying that you should ask the questions now. It's not the time while she is grieving. However, it will eat you up. You will start wondering if she is lying to you, hiding something, or her whole family is wrong. Even if you will have to admit you talked to her brother, it's a small lie compared to her hiding the reason for being estranged from her family in such a way. And building a family on a lie won't make it a happy life. Reply. I hear you, and I do plan to get that information, just not now. A week after finding out her dad died is not the time to press her for answers. Grief is still raw and I want to be supportive, not confrontational. But before marriage, yeah, I need to know. That conversation will happen, just when emotions aren't this high. Stories number 2. Aita for leaving my boyfriend after finding a woman in our bed. So, I, 26F, am going on a trip to London with my sister today. I've been staying with her since yesterday because she lives close to the airport. I realized I forgot my passport at my apartment, where my boyfriend, 27M, and I live together, and I had time to go back and get it, so I did. I texted him this morning to let him know I was coming back to get my passport, but he didn't respond. When I got there, he looked really antsy and suspicious. I went into our bedroom and found a woman I don't recognize lying in our bed, fully clothed. I just went on autopilot, grabbed my passport, told him we're over, and left. Now, my boyfriend is blowing up my phone saying that the woman is his longtime friend and that she's a lesbian who just needed a place to crash for the night. I don't believe him because he never mentioned anything about her staying over while I was gone, and the whole situation feels off. He's saying I'm making a huge mistake and that he's telling the truth, but honestly, I'm just really hurt and confused. He's begging for me to hear him out and is apologizing, but this whole situation is not right. So, Aita for leaving him? Should I believe his explanation, or is my gut telling me the truth? We just signed the lease 2 months ago, and I'm literally leaving the country today, so it's a horrible and stressful situation. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Questions. Is this the straw that broke the camel's back? Even if she is a lesbian, would him not mentioning it just be another thing on the list? Looking at your previous post, it seems like it's not the only issue you have as a couple. The real thing to ask yourself is, are the good things worth it, whether it was genuinely just miscommunication or not? NTA, depending on other issues. Reply, him not mentioning it is a deal breaker for me, because we agreed not to have guests without telling each other beforehand. We established this as a boundary while living together. We struggled emotionally during the moving process because he was stubborn and I was a pushover and didn't advocate for my own needs, seen in my previous post. I chalked it up to moving stress. Other than that, he's been a good partner, and I haven't had any reason to believe he's cheating. I feel very blindsided. Commenter 2, he's banking on you continuing being a pushover. Get her number and tell her you want to meet her. If she's his platonic friend, she will also want to sort this out for her friend. Commenter 3, NTA. Wow, the moment you leave, huh? Not even really, you hadn't even left yet. Well, if you happen to know her name, you could always look at their social media. You'll know really quick if she's really a lesbian or bi, but either way pretty weird and I wouldn't be believing him at all. Reply, after I left I asked him for her Instagram or phone number. I've been demanding her contact info for hours and he still won't give it to me. I want to hear her side of things, and he claims she has a girlfriend, so I think her girlfriend deserves to know as well. Commenter 4, so you are going to believe the woman who sneaked into your bed? Reply, no, which is why I'm notifying her girlfriend. Commenter 5, I mean she needed a place to stay, was the couch not sufficient? I'd be pissed even if it was 2 dudes or 2 women, whatever, that's our bed. I wouldn't want anyone else in it. Reply, we have a pull-out couch, so it's definitely sufficient enough. Commenter 6, you're not wrong to be mad. I don't buy the BS of it being a lesbian friend either, but the fact he was hiding it is in itself bad. Leave his ass. Reply, honestly I feel bad for her, he sent me screenshots of their texts and it seems she was under the impression he had my permission for guests. I think he put her in a dangerous situation by not telling me and letting me walk in on her in bed. I feel like other people in my situation might have screamed at her or even tried to hurt her. Update, I've never updated a Reddit post before, so I hope I'm doing this right. I went to London with my sister. I told my ex I wouldn't be speaking to him, and I enjoyed our girls' trip. As soon as I returned to the USA, I went and got tested for STIs, and turns out he gave me chlamydia. I'm being treated for it now, but I'm going to see the gynecologist soon because I'm not sure how long I've had it. I'm asymptomatic. I last tested negative for all STIs in July 2023, right before I started seeing my ex. He's the only person I've been with since then, so he obviously gave it to me. I'm worried he's had it this entire time and so have I. But I'm trying not to overthink the cheating timeline of the chlamydia. I want to focus on my health. He never admitted to cheating. We're still broken up and I don't plan on going back to him. Since we just signed a brand new lease back in February, we're discussing what to do about the apartment. I've been staying with my sister since we got back, so I'm thankfully not stuck in the apartment without a support system. I really appreciate everyone's advice. I've never been in this situation before. I was embarrassed to tell my family at first, so I went to strangers on the internet. I probably won't update this post again since there isn't much else to say. Thank you all for helping validate my confidence to leave him. Stories number 3. My husband is still best friends with the girl he had a 6-year long-term relationship, and admitted I was ugly when they recently hung out. 32F38M. I have been married for 4 months now, and we had dated for 2 years prior. This girl has been in his friend group for quite some time now, and it was never an issue till recently. We had hosted a little celebration recently, and at a point all the ladies were gathered in a room, and I was chatting with her. She's unmarried and 3 years older than me, and is stunningly pretty too, like model gorgeous. So we were laughing and talking well, till she brings up my husband. Asking me how it's going and if he was troubling me in any way, in a joking manner. She then pulls her phone out and scrolls down to show me pics of his from before. I was surprised she still had pics of that time. But nearly every single one of them were during the time they dated, and when I got uncomfortable and told her to stop she just laughed it away. My husband was in his 20s then, she called it his prime, and they traveled more than me and him ever did. What shocked me most was that she showed me pics and videos of them having traveled Barcelona twice, and this was shocking because when I told him about visiting that place, he outright refused it and said he hated that place, calling it boring. At a point I was tired of her telling all their stories, so I left. It was probably a bit stupid to get angry about something like this, but I decided to leave the room. Later on, somewhere around late night, all his friends were down in the living room. One of their spouses had to breastfeed, so I gave her a separate room for privacy. I thought of joining them all, but then I heard one of the guys talking about how my husband's parents accepted me in the family. He and his family are all Koreans, and most of his friends mostly belong to the same community. I am from Indonesia and it was a lot of trouble when he told his parents about me. Though all of that has been fixed now, it felt weird to listen to that again cause a lot of slurs are still thrown around even though I've been living here for years. My husband told him it's been tough but it's alright now. And then his friend who I was chatting to earlier talks about how she had sent him on many blind dates with pretty women and decided to choose me. They all were drunk, so maybe they didn't know or didn't mean those words but it still hurt a lot. They all started laughing loudly, telling my husband how I was a bit ugly according to his standards in the past and one of them even acknowledging his relationship with the girl. My husband then said words I never imagined he would, telling them that I might be ugly but I married her. Someone who used to comfort me when I cried or bring me to shop and gifted me clothes, someone I was now trying to have a kid with admitting I'm ugly felt terrible. All the incidents of the day just came down and I walked out before I heard too much. I decided to shower and then go to sleep before they all did, but even this morning, after they all left and my husband slumped back in bed I still keep thinking about it. It's difficult to convince myself now that they're only friends, they have a longer history than I did with him, and his friends acknowledging it was even worse. This morning, despite his state he hugged her goodbye and arranged a pack of sweets he told me she likes and to enjoy on the trip back. It's been eating on my insecurity, especially after seeing the pictures. My husband looked much younger, without the fine lines now appearing and the youthful look back then. A part of me is jealous I never enjoyed that part of him, whereas she's not only more rich than me, but also too pretty, and it hurts after being called ugly by someone who I thought loved me. This has been bugging me for a while and also seems like a very stupid thing to confront about, so can any of you give me advice of what to do? TLDR, recent union of friends resulted in my husband calling me ugly and having to scroll through his old pic with his ex. Edit. She even talked about sending each other bouquets without roses but gifts instead. I used to tell him that I wanted one of those for my birthday with books, but he told me he had better things in mind and never gave me one. I feel bad that he didn't do it when I asked him, but was a routine for someone before me. English isn't my first language, so forgive me if there's anything wrong with the spellings or grammar. Comments. Commenter 1. Your issue shouldn't be with this woman, but with your husband. The man you married feels comfortable sitting around with friends and talking badly about you. A good man would have shut down that conversation and never allow guests in his home to degrade his wife in any way. Commenter 2. I had to set my phone down when she mentioned her husband's friends casually referred to her using racial slurs. If anyone had the fucking audacity to call my partner a racial slur, in my own house no less, they're getting knocked TF out. Reply. I had expected him to shut it down or even divert the conversation but he accepted it, and that's what hurts. Commenter 3. Your husband needs to make hard choices about what his life is going to look like going forward. He either wants to keep these people in his life and lose you, or keep you and ditch the friends. None of these people are good people, they all talked badly about you and your husband didn't decent you or himself. This ex-girlfriend is his ex for a reason, she is a jealous person who was purposely showing you the pictures to make you jealous. I'm assuming she hit those specific pictures because he's told her things about you, like how you wanted to go to Barcelona. At minimum that ex needs to be cut out, no contact and frankly I wouldn't mind him putting her in her place beforehand. You've only been married 4 months, do you think you could do this for years? It's never too late to get out of a bad situation, you'll know if he's willing to stand up for you when you talk to him about this. Reply, he probably did tell her, and maybe that's why his friends were laughing about their relationship. God, this hurts. Update. So I shared about this incident to my friends, and they have urged me to make plans with them to Barcelona itself. I agreed and we went to do a bit of shopping for it. I have been feeling way better now after talking to them and all the support you guys gave too, so I'm really grateful. My husband had been texting me continuously for a while now, I am staying at my friend's house for a while. I texted him saying that I wasn't happy with the company he kept and told him about what his friend did, showing me their pictures. I also told him that he admitted I was ugly to his friends. He's answered by saying that he was mostly drunk and didn't mean it, and that he and his friends' culture is where it's normal to comment on people's appearances and not take it to heart, and said all the cheesy stuff after that about how he still thinks I'm really beautiful, but I can't accept that anymore. He told he'll talk to his friends about it and ask them to apologize. I also told him that I can leave if he still has feelings for his friend, and he said that it was all a past fling and there's a reason they broke up. He told I'm the one he wants to have kids with, but I feel like he wants me to be a baby-producing machine for his family. I am still looking for a lawyer and my brother has offered me help too, he got really angry after hearing about the situation. I have a place of my own where I might shift to after I come back from the trip. My husband is back to constantly calling, though I texted him to stop and he hasn't done anything yet. I'm still a bit confused, but I think this trip is going to help me clear my mind. I haven't told him anything yet, and I am thinking of blocking him in my socials, though my friends suggest he see that I am living my best even without him. TLDR, we only talked over text, and I've planned a trip with my friends already. Comments. Commenter 1. I'm glad you have support. Trust your gut, and if you need to live in your place when you return, do that whilst talking with lawyers, etc. Commenter 2. I remember you saying they are Korean, and it's true about the toxicity in that culture, the way they talk about looks, but that doesn't mean you have to put up with it. Good for you. Reply. I don't. He's been constantly apologizing through texts and stuff, and he just sent me pics of something he made with a sorry caption. I feel a bit bad for leaving it just like that. Commenter 3. He needs to learn that his actions have consequences, and can hurt you terribly. He had other options in that conversation to shut it down. He could have said, she's beautiful to me. It's ultimately up to you what you choose to do and whether this is breakup worthy for you, but whatever you do, don't stay with him if the relationship will harm your self-esteem. You deserve a partner that is always on your side. Stories number 4. Coworker claims that I groom children following office duck scavenger hunt. Boy, do I have a doozy. Last week I had a delivery of 100 little ducks. You know, the kind people leave around their friends' houses when they are on holiday. My work is going through a tumultuous time, and I thought it might boost morale or at least give a reprieve from the negativity for 5 minutes. So I dotted these ducks around for people to find, and it went down a treat. With people even rehiding the ducks for other coworkers the next day. People were laughing and talking about it for a couple of days. Even the directors found a couple. They were a bit bemused but left us to it. One of the directors made a comment that without his glasses he assumed they were sweets that had been left out. He was glad he took a closer look before trying some. My problem colleague overheard this and then made the comment that I was grooming both children and men with the ducks. Office fun equals me being a child groomer. Reported to HR, but I think I'm ready to move on to a different company now. Update. Had a meeting with my manager this afternoon and will be raising a formal grievance against the problem coworker. Sum of comments. Commenter 1. I'm desperately trying to figure what dots they thought they were connecting to make that conclusion. There's gotta be more than they're convinced is related to this. Ducks equal grooming? The confusion is strong. Reply. After everyone went silent following her comment. She was trying to explain that it was like I was luring children with sweets but with ducks. Even though our office is 18 plus. Not entirely sure how she jumped to that, but has said she's the problem colleague. She's not happy unless she's insulted someone. OOP adds. Later that afternoon, after I had brought it up to my manager, she tried saying it was the kind of joke she would make with her husband on the sofa. Had to say that I'm not her husband, I'm not even her friend, I am her work colleague in a professional setting. How often do they joke about that sort of stuff for it to feel so normal for her? Commenter 2. Put an obscenely large number of ducks on just that person's desk. Reply. I didn't hide all 100. Still have a few left. Might have to do that next time in the office. Commenter 3. Sounds like the problem coworker is trying to start a situation to get rid of you. Be careful. Reply. Thanks, I've reported her for other things in the past. For comments like, you're so fat you should be dead, etc., so I have a trail with HR already. Commenter 4. That bitch. OMG. You're calmer than I am. I'm pretty sure I would say something awful as a knee-jerk response, before I could remind myself that I'm at work. Reply. They are usually in the middle of other conversations, so I'm usually left reeling a bit, and then she gets up and flounces away 9-10 straight after. To another commenter asking how she hasn't been fired. I think the problem is no one reports it. She makes nasty comments to everyone, but I think everyone feels the same, that it's just one comment. What will reporting it even do? She's also not silly. She has only slipped up and insulted me in front of others a handful of times. 2 years worth of insults, mostly when we were alone together. Our reception team pulled me aside to ask some questions a few weeks ago. I answered them and asked why they didn't ask the problem coworker, as it's actually her area, not mine. They felt she would give them grief for not knowing. I told my manager what they had said to me, and she went down to talk to them about it, but they didn't mention problem coworker and instead say they grabbed me because they saw me. Amazing, one person can create such a fear culture about themselves. Commenter 5. Do not leave over this idiot. Your workplace needs you and your ducky joy over them. I think you should pursue some sort of defamation case against them. They have no right to put this on your name with no proof to it. Reply. Thanks, I appreciate that. I try and make work a bit more fun. If I've got to spend 8 hours with these people, I'm gonna want them to be happy, huh? I have a meeting with HR tomorrow, so we'll see where they are willing to go with this first. Okay, since it's been definitively decided that your coworker is mean and crazy, can we talk about the ducks, please? I've never heard of this before and am intrigued. Also, what do Jeeps have to do with it? Reply. Jeep owner leaves little rubber ducks on other Jeep owners' cars. There's an FB group on it. It's a cute little community thing. The hiding ducks was a trend on TikTok a couple of years ago. The ducks are tiny, under a centimeter big. You are meant to hide them both in plain sight and in silly places. One duck made its way into one director's office and his empty coffee mug. Editor's note, can confirm, I've had a few contracts with an opera company where someone hid a bunch of tiny ducks in random places. It definitely brought a smile to my face to find them. Commenter 6, are you a gay man? Trying to figure out if they're applying some kind of homophobic interpretation to your actions. You know. With you trying to groom all the men and children. Reply, LOL no I'm a straight female. However she is transphobic and homophobic. She doesn't make outward comments but one of my brothers is gay and the other is trans. Whenever I mention them she is unhappy. Commenter 6, every accusation is a confession, they say. Reply, yes it does feel that way. Most times she's insulted me it's because she's insecure of something and will take it out on me, e.g. her doctor told her to lose weight. That was the day she told me I was so fat I should be dead. She was told she has high cholesterol so she took my tea out of my hands and wouldn't allow me to put sugar in because I was killing myself. She was reprimanded at work for wearing flip-flops and vest tops to the office. So she insulted my clothes. The list goes on and on. Not sure how child grooming fits into it though. Update in comments. I spoke to the director yesterday and he was a sweetheart and made me feel a lot better about the whole situation. I think I am going to continue with a grievance and at least then in the future her nastiness will be taken as evidence. He did say while vile he doesn't think it's a sackable offense yet but did also say the only thing he was aware of at the time of the conversation was that she had called me a child groomer. None of the history. So it will still be investigated full if I raise the grievance. Brought up conflicting feelings as I don't want it to escalate her to lose her job, I just don't want to be insulted in the workplace. Comments. Commenter, well, at least you've got lots of witnesses. If she's truly disliked in your workplace as the problem colleague, then they'll back you up. Reply, yes I spoke to one of the ladies today, the grievance form makes you state the witnesses and I wanted to make sure they were comfortable with me putting them down and she was lovely and said she'd support in any way she could. Update post. So it has been 3 weeks since my coworker called me a child groomer and my manager called us into a meeting where I called out her poor behavior over the past 2 years. Since then I have not heard or spoken to my coworker. She ignores any work-related message and is refusing to come into the office. She is working from home although I can't see that much work is being done. She has recently asked a department that I have been working closely with if she can join them in their office if she has to come into work. HR have asked us if we would both be willing to attend mediation. I said yes. I am not sure what my coworker's response was but since it was due to start this week and has not, I assume she refused to it. I was going to raise a grievance over this but I was invited to a job interview at a company I had previously applied for and was offered the job. Contract signed and notice handed in. Sum of comments. Commenter, oh. If they ask are you going to mention that how they botched this incident inspired you to see what else was available? Congratulations. Reply, oh of course, my work do exit interviews so it will all be being brought up. OOP adds a bit more context to the story. I hid little ducks around the office. She joined in. Had a great time. 2 days later called me a child groomer. I got upset as I was groomed as a child. Which anyone could work out considering how old I was when I had my first child. She has my DOB on our central system and our children are the same age. I went to my manager upset. She called us into a meeting together. Coworker walked in and immediately mocked me for being upset because she was only joking. I got even more upset and called her out on her behavior. There isn't a week this woman doesn't insult or belittle me in some way. When asked WTF she thought was similar to child grooming she said it was like I luring children with sweets but with the ducks in a 18+ office. Follows up with another comment. Just to add, while I am the most frequently insulted belittled by her, she does do it to the other staff too. A colleague in another department has just told me she reached out to problem colleague asking for help with a task yesterday and got a very passive-aggressive response back. Her question was answered but she was made to feel stupid. She did read the email responses out loud to her bank of desks. The head of HR was sitting opposite her at the time. Lots of tuts but nothing else. Commenter 2, I'm sure you know this, but your coworker should have been fired on the spot. You can let them know in your exit interview that if this same coworker continues to spread accusations about you in this workplace, they'll be liable for allowing it to go on. Reply, she should have. The fact she didn't and multiple people also heard and reported it and still she didn't and still hasn't faced any repercussion and is instead breaking our hybrid working agreement etc. It was time to leave. The new job is a step up with better pay and better hours so at least I have that going for me. Commenter 3, I'm constantly amazed at companies like this. I'm over here wondering will I be laid off if I don't adhere to the ever-changing rules, and there are companies that bend over backwards to accommodate a poorly performing person who then just refuses to come in. Reply, there seems to be one rule for the problem people and one rule for the rest of us. I don't think I would get away with insulting people like that, especially to superiors. On a happier note regarding ducks, it's such a small but fun thing to do. I know it wouldn't work in most offices, but for the people I had planned it for, it went down a treat. It is a work friend's big birthday in a couple of weeks. She missed out on the ducks and was disappointed about it, so we are planning a little scavenger hunt through our local high street for her, she's a well-known resident, and ending it at her restaurant. I'm planning on little envelopes with clues and a little duck in each envelope too. New update post. It's been 3 months since my coworker accused me of grooming children because I made up an office scavenger hunt. I'm afraid this isn't a very exciting update and not much has happened between me and problem coworker. A few comments have asked for ages. She is mid-50s and I am 30. We are both married. Just over a month ago, me and problem coworker spoke over Teams. I apologized for losing my temper following the child grooming comment, and she apologized for how I took the child grooming comment. Problem coworker then stated that she will not communicate with me again as she doesn't know how I will react to her comments. And is now worried for my mental health. She has previously mocked my self-harm scars and called me an attention seeker. We have had no further contact. HR set up a mediation meeting with a union. We had to have individual one-on-one meetings and then an all-day meeting with us together with the mediator. My individual meeting was non-eventful. I outlined everything that had happened and said that I felt mediation was just the company's tick-box exercise to prevent me claiming constructive dismissal and show they had taken a reasonable step to prevent conflict. The mediator said he could not respond. He did pressure me that I needed to hear out her side, and she was very apologetic and upset about it all. I then had to explain a situation with a temp hire where PC, problem coworker, shouted and insulted the temp. They then had an argument and PC cried saying they didn't want to hurt people. The next time they saw each other, a year later, PC insulted her weight. I also brought up that the silent treatment now is another form for bullying, as I am being left out of key meetings and decisions and it is affecting my work. We did not attend the mediation full-day meeting. Unfortunately, my dad passed away unexpectedly the weekend before. I had already arranged a DR's app because I had developed a facial twitch and I don't want to go into time but other unpleasant side effects. The DR originally signed me off for 2 weeks, but when I mentioned my dad had died that weekend it was extended to a month. With the proviso that I have an additional meeting before the fit note ended in case I couldn't face returning to the company. I won't lie, that was the worst month of my life and coming back to this mess was absolutely awful. I'm so grateful that the DRs took me seriously, as my mum didn't cope and we, my siblings, alternated staying with her until she was stable, which I wouldn't have been able to do without the month off. My parents live a 10-hour round trip away from me and further from my siblings. I originally had 2 weeks left of my notice period when I returned. On my first day back, my manager pulled me into a meeting to say that she and HR were worried about my mental health and wanted me to have a phased return to work, so asked me to WFH the rest of the week. My final day was also moved up due to outstanding annual leave. I was in the office less than 2 hours on my first day back before the first person approached me for help because they had been trying to work with PC but she had been rude and dismissive. PC has applied for numerous internal jobs and been rejected for them all, one of which was with the first person to approach me for help. PC has continued to refuse all communication with me. I could see that she had a meeting with one of the directors, but aside from that I'm not sure what else happened following the child groomer comments. I was very spoilt by office friends and they made a fuss with a lovely lunch out on my final day and some thoughtful gifts. After lunch I had my exit interview, where I was asked why I left, would I consider coming back, how do I rate the company. It was not a fun meeting and I was very critical of HR and the company. I did state that had PC been handled properly from the start I wouldn't have considered leaving the company. I'm a week free of that company and my facial twitch has already stopped. There might be further sightings of PC as I work part-time for a sister company. They have not managed to find a replacement for me, so I will continue in the role until a replacement is found, but there will not be a need for us to communicate. Comments. Commenter 1, I'm so sorry for your loss of your father. PC seems also to have mental health issues. I'm not excusing their behavior. There is no excuse for bullying. OP, I know you've gone over this a million times in your head and with others. Do you see how she dropped a bomb, in front of others, was it, then pitifully offers, I'm sorry you took that for a bomb. But if others heard it, the word was out. She's the nut and I am so glad you've extricated from the place. Take good care. Reply, yes, I do think she has something mental health issues. She at the least is bitterly unhappy with how her life has turned out. Yes, that is what happened. A lot of incidents I've mentioned in previous posts have been one-on-one, but the later ones were said and done in front of colleagues. I had 2 colleagues reach out and also provide a statement to HR following the grooming comments. Commenter 2, may PC step on all the Legos, and hopefully you'll never have to see her again. I hope the new job is excellent too. Reply, bless you, thank you, I'm really excited to have this chapter of my life behind me. Editor's note, on a happy note, Big thank you to the Bora user who was inspired by the first post to start putting ducks around their office. Last I heard people hadn't figured out who was behind it but loved it. Stories number 5. My boyfriend is scared and trusting him has left me with 3 weeks to secure housing and move. I swear, I keep finding out over and over again that you cannot rely on a partner, especially when so much is on the line. For me, this time, it's housing. My BF and I have been together for a little over a year. I am mid-30s, he's late 30s. We've been talking about wanting to live together and working towards that for about 6 months. He's never lived with a partner and expressed anxieties, but assured me that he really wants it with me and it will happen, just a matter of when. I believed he meant that. He's been a little slower than me to want relationship progress, but he's doing it and I haven't felt like I'm waiting too long. I'm the first GF he's introduced to family since high school. It's been so good between us. Well, now I'm questioning my judgment completely. My landlord gave me 7 weeks notice to be out of my current house, month-to-month lease, only 30 days notice required. I began searching for places and the idea of my boyfriend and I living together came up again. He told me it still feels a little soon, but he sees it happening in the next few months. I was upset with the idea of moving a whole house, only to move again in a few months and told him that would be really hard and asked if he could see it happening by the time my lease was over. Then he invited me to live with him, it seemed genuine. I was hesitant to accept and expressed that to him, but he reassured me he wants it and would be ready. I stupidly stopped looking at places and trusted him. I have told my family this is happening. I've been getting rid of so much stuff so we didn't have duplicates. I got things to help organize the place to not overwhelm him. I've deep cleaned his kitchen, bathrooms, etc. all with excitement, knowing this will be our home. I'm 3 weeks away from needing to be out. We had a plan that I'd be out of my house in 2 weeks to give me time to deep clean. 2 days ago, my boyfriend decided to tell me he isn't sure if he's ready. He tells me he doesn't want to lose us, but I have 3 weeks to find somewhere to live and to move. I'm in a tough area to find something in 7 weeks, let alone 3. Our conversations since have been full of tears. I'm shocked he could do this, and he keeps saying he's just not ready and sorry he was afraid to bring it up sooner. My main concern isn't us living together or not anymore, it's trying to figure this out in 3 weeks and wondering if I can ever trust him again. He doesn't understand the situation he's left me in and is now offering to help find a place. I'm heartbroken and scared. I don't have a backup. I should have had a backup. TLDR, my boyfriend asked me to move in with him and backed out 2 weeks away from my move-in date, leaving me with less than a month to find somewhere else. He still wants to be with me. Stories number 6. Am I overreacting for refusing to eat at a restaurant that messed up my order once? Okay, the title sounds ridiculous, I know, but hear me out. I am gluten-free, not by choice but out of medical necessity. I became allergic about 5 years ago, so it's not new, and I have gotten pretty good about eating out without being completely obnoxious, and I know my limits with ingesting gluten. When I went out with friends last month, I ordered a cheeseburger with no bun and subbed the side of fries with steamed veggies to avoid leftover gluten in the fryer. When the plate came, it had fries and a bun. I asked the waitress if my plate could be remade because I was allergic to gluten. She gave me attitude, told me potatoes don't have gluten so I can eat fries, and to take the bun off because the kitchen was slammed. I told her I could wait and didn't need to be prioritized, but to please just have my food remade. When it finally came, it came out in a takeout box with all the checks. I wasn't about to make a fuss and I was just planning on going home after, so I figured I'd eat the takeout at home and say oh well. But on my check I was charged for 2 meals, with an upcharge for substitutions on both. I went to the bartender and got 1 meal taken off my bill and tipped her nicely in cash, but decided to never eat there again. So last night I had family over and they wanted to order in, specifically from the same place that got my order wrong last month. I told them that's fine, but I would order from somewhere nearby and just go pick them both up. I thought this was reasonable, but my family looked at me like I just suggested a lion go vegan. They told me they thought I was out of my childish phase and that not eating gluten wouldn't help me drop the extra weight I'd put on. It was such a massive overreaction to me, and I don't know why they felt the need to comment on my weight, which I wasn't concerned about until they said that. So I explained the situation, that I had a bad experience there with a simple ask, and they doubled down that it's immature to never eat there again and to inconvenience everyone else just because I don't want some carbs. I dropped it because I was so shocked and just ordered from the restaurant next door. Turns out they have the same generic brown takeout boxes, so when I got back and we ate, everyone was telling me, see, don't you feel silly now, everything is fine, and that I needed to stop being a Karen. It's the next day and I just feel like it was so weird, and I wanted to share what is kinda a funny and lighthearted story, but I'm also slightly wondering if I am overreacting by not going there again. Comments. I primarily eat at home, and used to work in a kitchen. Like I said, I know my tolerance levels well. I usually don't get anything that's fried at a restaurant because about 6 months and I got a chunk of chicken breading on my fries I didn't notice and had a reaction. But I've never had issues with a burger with no bun. I get cross-contamination, but what I don't get is why it's so hard to put a burger on a piece of lettuce instead of a bun and mind your own business about what people want to eat. If her family knows it is a medical necessary diet they do. That's why I was so baffled. Apparently they didn't think I was serious. Or I'd grow out of it the same way I developed it. Who knows? Somebody says she shouldn't eat in restaurants, since they can't cater to allergies like I said, I know my tolerance levels well. Made in the same kitchen is fine, but it's not that hard to just not put a bun on a burger. And I've had fries cooked in the same fryer as chicken before with no issue, but another time had a chunk of breading mixed in with my fries and had a reaction. So I just don't order anything fried anymore to be safe. I take on the burden of knowing my limits on the maybe once a month occasion I eat order out. But I do expect my order to come as I ordered it unless they tell me something isn't an option. People with allergies are allowed to have the luxury of eating out too. My family is and always has been pretty average and eats pretty healthy. I learned all about balance growing up and yeah, ice cream is great but don't eat it every day. Get the fries when you eat out or order the pizza when you're too tired to cook, but make sure you also drink all your water and maybe have a grilled chicken salad the next day. Make sure you fuel your body properly, etc. I just developed an allergy as I got older. It didn't change much of how I eat, just subbing in some gluten-free things and totally omitting others. Yeah, I mean I've worked in food service. When this would happen, allergy or not, I'd say I'm so sorry, let me go make this right. I'd mark up the ticket and confirm that a cook saw the mistake, and move the order to the front of the line, or at least a reasonable spot. When I got to a management level I would also take a bit off the bill for the mistake if the people were nice about it. It's not that hard. I did leave a review, not a scathing one but a simple account of what happened and that I will not be going back. I actually don't have celiac, it's more a wheat allergy, but can still cause anaphylactic shock and other not as severe reactions. I have loved ones with celiac and it is so serious. But they do the same, just order from places they know are safe and don't make a big fuss about it. I didn't really think about reporting to the health department until you just said it. Obviously if I'm not the only one they deserve to be looked at more closely. As a genuine question, I would have thought talking to the manager would be making an even bigger deal of things than to just not eat there again. Do you see it differently? I get that you can have a bad day as a waitress, you can have a bad day in any profession because you're still a person. But when I was a server bartender, I did my best to leave that at the door and not let it affect my work or how I treat people who are having their own days I have no idea about. Update. What I thought would be a pretty lighthearted am I overreacting question turned into quite a family saga and a trip to the real damn fast, so I wanted to update my silly restaurant boycott story. But before the saga, here's a happy update. One of my friends knew I had a throwaway Reddit account and saw this post on it and called the health department herself and reported the restaurant, then left a long and seething review, and even went back and talked to the manager about our exact waitress. She was there and had already shit-talked the restaurant with me, but knowing all this made her go nuclear. God, I love her. So the drama, I wrote this post the morning after the original dinner happened. The dinner was decent but I was very quiet, and then reading all the supportive comments calling out my family's behavior was really making me think. So when my sister called me later in the day to ask why I was so weird at dinner, I had already been thinking about it and I kinda snapped. I said that I was quiet because I was so hurt by the things others said and nobody defended me, per usual. Meanwhile my friend went out and fought for me even when she didn't have to. So she and I fought about what was said, if I was being too sensitive, and even about if my allergy was as serious as I claim. I told her I didn't need this and hung up. My mom texted me later, so did my brother, and again my sister. All saying that we should drop it and we're family and this is silly. I put them all in a group chat and said yes, it is silly to fight with me over my own medical diagnosis and the food that I eat that has nothing to do with them. I didn't need my family to treat me like this when I have friends and other family that don't, and they can talk when they're done being the immature ones. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb and finished my work day. Yes, this was all during a work day. My night was relaxing. My husband cooked a delicious gluten-free meal while I explained all this. He was out of town when it happened, and he was the perfect hype man and started highlighting more toxic behavior from my immediate family I have been blind to. And then, like a sitcom with ironic timing, there's a knock on the door. My mom and sister came over to make amends and brought dessert from a gluten-free bakery. There are multiple around us. I didn't question it. I'm sure you're yelling at me to question it. I should have. We sat down to talk and I grabbed a cupcake, one bite, and I knew by the texture it was not gluten-free. I spit it out and just looked at them, waiting for them to admit it. My sister had a look of slight fear while my mom sat there looking smug. All she said was, "Gluten won't kill you, honey, you grabbed that cupcake pretty fast, that's a bigger concern. I was holding back tears from the feeling of betrayal and ran to my husband who was giving us space. He already had the keys and gave me my shoes to put on, and we left to go to the He stopped at the door to say, "You are never welcome in this house again," and he took me to the I could feel my throat tightening as I was sobbing in the passenger seat. I was seen right away at the hospital and I'm fine now, and writing this while waiting to be discharged as a way to process what the hell just happened. I feel like I opened my eyes and lost my entire family in under 24 hours. But the two hot takes family sure knew what was up, and my husband and my friends are plenty for me to feel loved and taken care of. Consensus. People tell her to report it to the police and sent her family the bill. Comments. On why they didn't call an ambulance. Have you ever paid for an ambulance ride? I hadn't fully ingested the bite and we live less than 10 minutes to the hospital. There's a good chance it would have taken the exact amount of time, if not more, and a lot more money for the paramedics to get me to the hospital than my husband. And I used the EpiPen we keep in the car when I felt symptoms start. But you should always be monitored even after using the EpiPen because symptoms can come back in waves. We did decide to file a police report, even the nurses urged me to after my husband told them the whole story. Right now, I plan to file the report and request they pay my medical bills and leave it at that with little to no contact going forward. I have aunts and uncles and family on my husband's side who take the time to accommodate my dietary needs, which is so sweet. I always tell them they don't need to and I'll be okay, but I'm realizing that I think that all stems from my family dynamic and I would do it for them, so I should welcome it. Why she didn't use the EpiPen right away? Frankly, I was going to try to make it to the hospital without using it to not have to replace it right now. The last time I bought one it cost me over $200. But I needed it. No, I didn't put it in the post. I ended up at the hospital and had another reaction anyway and thought more about that. Stories number 7. My wife wants a divorce. It's been 3 weeks since my wife told me she wants a divorce. I'm still reeling from it. I know I'm going to come across badly here. I stepped outside of my marriage and it is no one else's fault but mine. I have no excuse for cheating on my wife. I work in the Crown Attorney's office. It's a busy and stressful job and I crossed the line with another attorney. The long hours and the stressful environment is something we both deal with and I let my judgment lapse. She's married with children too and neither of us have any excuse. I make no excuses for what I did. I watched my brother go through a divorce a few years ago, but I never thought I'd be here. I regret hurting my wife and I don't blame her for leaving. 3 weeks ago she told me she knew about the affair. The next day she moved out. She had started doing Instacart and Uber Eats when I was at work. She saved up money. She's been taking free online classes through the Adult Education Center. She wants to start night school to get a degree. She went out and got a job. After she got the job she found an apartment. We have an 18-month-old and a 3-year-old. After she got the job she found a daycare for them. Truth be told, I was blindsided when she told me she was leaving. I don't know how she found out about the affair, but apparently she's known for almost a year. I had no idea she knew or that she was getting things in order to leave me. She didn't act any different. She was still the same warm and bright person. She didn't change her behavior. She didn't act distant or cold. She was the same loving wife that she always was. I know I made a huge mistake with the affair. My wife didn't tell anyone else about my affair either. She only told people after she moved out. After my wife got a job she told her sister she was leaving me, but not why. Her sister co-signed for my wife's apartment. But even then she didn't tell her sister any details until after she moved out. My wife said she kept everything to herself because she didn't want anyone to confront me or talk to me about until she had everything in order to leave. Even her sister only found out less than a month before my wife moved out, and even then it was only that my wife was leaving me and not why. I saw her sister a couple of times before my wife left, but just like my wife she didn't give anything away. I'm still in shock that my wife didn't act any different or give away what she was doing. I never knew my wife could get a job or was talking online classes or planning to leave. My wife told my colleague's husband about the affair. I never really thought about what would happen if we were caught. I guess I thought my wife and I would try marriage counseling. I needed to get this out. I've already had enough of my life made public. I know I only have myself to blame. My wife will only talk to me about our kids. We have agreed to share time with them for now. Shared 50-50 custody is the norm where we live, and my wife says she won't contest that in the divorce. But she'll only talk to me about the kids, not about anything else. The house feels empty without her. It's strange and wrong. I know I was wrong and I made the worst mistake of my life. I watched my brother go through a divorce and I never thought I would too. It still feels strange to me. My wife had been living somewhere else for 3 weeks. My wife has had a job for 3 weeks. I'm going to be divorced. Everyone is angry at me for the affair and I don't even blame them. You don't have to tell me I'm wrong because I already know. This is the biggest regret of my life. Top comments. Commenter 1, I absolutely love the way she handled the situation. You lost a gem. Commenter 2, she figured if her husband could lie to her face and act like everything was fine while she was at home taking care of their kids and he was balls deep in a coworker, then she could lie to her husband's face while she got herself into a position to leave behind all the lies. She chose herself instead of you for once while you were choosing yourself over her. Good for her. It's going to hurt you more when she finds a new husband who is actually worthy of her time and love. Commenter 3, wow. I admire her strength. The fact she held it in for a whole year and got her own life sorted really shows her strong character. Commenter 4, dude. I'm gonna pile on. You humiliated her, which is probably why she has said nothing to no one. It's not that she respects you, she doesn't. You broke her trust. You broke her heart. You broke her faith in all men. It's going to be another man who heals her now. And her not telling anyone is because she likely feels like a complete failure as a woman, and you made her feel that way. She knew for more than a year. She gave you lots of chances, at least 365 chances. You failed her every single day, every single chance. Do the decent thing. Don't fight her in the divorce. Give her everything she asks for. At least give her back that dignity. Update, my wife wants a divorce. When I wrote my last post I thought I was at rock bottom, but I wasn't even close. I thought the day my wife left me was the worst day of my life. Not even close. 2 days ago I was formally served with divorce papers. That was the worst day of my life. That's the update, my wife is making it official now. I know my marriage ending is my fault. I don't know why I even cheated on my wife who was the best woman I've ever met. I was selfish and I don't care if anyone calls me names or anything because I already regret ruining my marriage more than anything. You aren't telling me what I already don't know and haven't called myself. Getting those papers was rock bottom. When I look at them it is the worst regret I have ever felt. I didn't know my wife had a lawyer yet. I'm an attorney but not in family law, I work in the Crown Attorney's office and I thought I had more time because attorneys from law firms are expensive. Everyone is adamant that none of them are giving my wife money or any help. My wife said she wanted to be self-sufficient when she left, which was why she got a job first. She said she found a lawyer through a charity for people who are new to the workforce after I didn't expect to be served papers so soon, but she doesn't want to talk about this further, only about our kids. Every time I look at them now it's like a hit to my gut. Even though it's been a month I'm still not used to any of this. My wife is not living here. My wife has a job now. I don't get to see my kids every single day. I know everything is my fault and I am the biggest idiot for ruining my marriage. I have the papers to prove it now. It's official now. I'm going to be divorced. Top comments. Commenter 1, everyone is adamant that none of them are giving my wife money or any help. Does this mean that you're angry that someone is helping her because now she won't have to come back to you because she can't support herself? Because you've clearly tried to figure out who it is, I'm guessing, so you can convince them to stop. That's really awful of you. Good for whoever is helping her. Commenter 2, congratulations on getting what you wanted. I have no idea why you're sad or disappointed. That is what you wanted, right? For 365 plus days, you chose a woman who wasn't your wife, so I can only surmise that you didn't want to be married to your wife anymore. Don't worry, your affair partner will probably need a place to live soon and you can just move her in with you, then you won't have to sneak around anymore. You're getting exactly what you wanted. Oh wait, you actually thought your wife would be okay with you having a side chick? You thought she would let you screw your affair partner and be excited that you were still coming home to her? Oh no. No no no. She has more self-respect than that. Either way, congratulations. I believe this is what they call the consequences of my own actions. Commenter 3, not your business if someone is helping her. You certainly didn't help your marriage by stepping outside of it. Who she spends time with or receives help from is no longer your business. Stories number 8. Aita for giving my daughters 1 week to leave my house after what they did to their half-brother. I have 2 daughters. Both over 20. They graduated college and moved back in with me because they couldn't find a job. The house is my late husband's house, Robert. For context, their dad and I got divorced 9 years ago. I got remarried to Robert and had my 7-year-old son Tom. The girls didn't have a good relationship with Robert. In fact, they hated him because of what their dad filled their heads about him. They lived with their dad, they chose to, before going off to college. Robert passed away 6 months ago after a long battle with disease. It was just me and my son Tom. The girl's dad got remarried last year and the woman is basically a witch. That's why the girls stopped visiting there. They lived in rental apartment during college and their dad used to pay for rent but stopped after his wife fought with them. The girls couldn't get a job to pay for rent and asked if they could move in with me and Tom for a while. I, of course, said yes. Although I knew how they felt about Tom. They moved in and they were nice to Tom but also distant. 2 days ago, I had an unexpected call and needed to leave the house. Tom was in bed all day because he was sick and I asked the girls to look after him for 2 hours till I got back. I left quickly. Then an hour later, I got a text from Tom asking me to come home because he threw up again in his room. He said he called for his sisters to help but no one responded. I immediately tried to call them but both lines were busy. I did my best to come home earlier thinking the girls weren't at home, but turned out they were. One was downstairs the entire time, the other said she was using kitchen appliances, that's why she couldn't hear Tom. I was going to believe them till Tom said he tried to text them but they didn't respond. I checked their phones after they tried to deny it and he was right. His message was read but no response. I blew up at them both and called them pathetic. They argued that I was making them act like they are the parent and placing responsibility on them. I knew this wasn't about that. They hated Robert. Fine. That might be a little understandable. But Tom is a kid and he has no part in all of this to be treated like that. I knew they neglected him on purpose. So I told them they have 1 week to move out and they started arguing and even crying saying I'm being too harsh on them, and acting worse than their dad's new wife. I said this wasn't up for discussion and now both of them are giving me the silent treatment. Basically making me feel guilty about the whole thing. Maybe I've made a wrong decision. But seeing how they've neglected their brother merely out of resentment and hate makes me feel upset and quite concerned to have them around him. Stories number 9. Aita for refusing to take my low-functioning sister out with me and my other sister. I'll keep this short. I'm 18 with 2 sisters, Missy, 15F, and Macy, 19F. Macy is high needs, having a 4-year-old's mindset, needing help 24/7. Growing up, I often felt like I was an afterthought, but I get my parents were just dealing with the cards they were given. Missy is usually super independent but has started shutting everyone out, kind of like I used to. She's like 2 different people, outgoing at school, quiet and to herself at home. So, I've been trying to take her out more, break the chain as best I can. Now, Missy and I planned this weekend trip to celebrate me snagging my first car. We both saved up, and my parents were totally cool with it. So I let them know and my mom asks if Macy could join. I shut that down real quick. Macy's not a fan of trips, especially long ones, and the whole point was for me and Missy to have some quality time. My mom agreed reluctantly, but my dad later pulls me aside, saying it's their chance for a night alone, and it's a way for me to show appreciation. That one night wouldn't ruin our lives. Now I'm stuck. I feel super shitty for not wanting to take Macy, but at the same time how is it fair to me and Missy? I just need some unbiased opinions. Aita. Edit, wording. Update 1. A lot of you are asking the same question so I'll go ahead and try to answer them all. Yes, Macy does have a caregiver all week during the daytime, while everyone is at work school. I also spend time with Macy, the same I do with Missy. We watch movies, read books, we color, and etc. I definitely will tell them that I am not bringing Macy on our trip and is a non-negotiable, and tell them that maybe I could watch her for weekend while they do whatever. I guess when he said appreciation, he was referring to going half of my car. I will also tell them that I do not plan to take care of Macy when they get older pass away and they need to start looking for somewhere for her to go. Definitely will bring up the year's worth of neglect and how sooner or later, they will lose both of their daughters. I really appreciate everyone's advice in the comments, it made me feel less alone. I definitely will be showing them the comments. I'll also do an update post either after the conversation or after our trip, depending how it goes. Comments. Commenter 1. If your parents would like a night alone, then they need to hire someone qualified to meet Macy's needs, and then have their time alone. This trip is an opportunity for you and Missy to have time together and get a break from being glass children. Info. Have your parents made arrangements for Macy's care once they are unable to care for her? Reply. I'm not sure, and if they have, no one has told me. I plan to talk to them tomorrow about everything. I'll make sure to add this to everything. Commenter 2. As the sibling to a low-functioning adult, I guarantee that you and Missy are your parents' plan for Macy's care when they can no longer do it. It's time to start telling them that this won't happen and it's not negotiable. NTA for wanting a fun time away alone with Missy. You're not a trio and you don't have to include anyone you don't want with you. Commenter 3. Have your parents shown any concern for Missy? You're a very sweet sibling. Macy is not your child and it doesn't seem like something she would enjoy. Your dad is being selfish. Edit to change, sister, to sibling. I thought OP specified they were F2 until a reread. Reply, both my parents do try their best, don't get me wrong. I feel like they're doing way better with Missy than they did me, but YK it's a, sometimes our best isn't enough, type situation. Update. Hey, so. I forgot I even made this post until I was going through old screenshots. Life got busy, a lot happened, and I never came back to update. But since the post reached a lot of people and honestly helped me more than I expected, I figured I'd share how things turned out. Yes, Missy and I went on our trip. It was amazing. Just the two of us, blasting music, grabbing fast food, staying up late talking, and doing normal sibling stuff without pressure. We both really needed it. I told my parents Macy wasn't coming. They weren't thrilled, especially my dad, but they didn't stop us. When I got home, we had a real conversation. I told them everything, how I felt invisible growing up, how Missy was starting to feel the same way, and how our whole world revolved around Macy. I said I wouldn't be her future caregiver. That was when their tone changed. They said Macy would always be their priority. That told me everything I needed to know. A few days later, I moved out. It wasn't dramatic, we all kind of quietly agreed it was time. I started college early and finally got some space. College has been life-changing. I started therapy, which helped me work through guilt and stress I didn't realize I had. I've made new friends and started figuring out who I am outside of my family. I still go home sometimes. I still love Macy. That was never the issue. I just needed to choose myself too. Missy's doing better now. She's more vocal and plans to leave for college soon. My parents and I are civil, but it's different. They've started looking into long-term care options for Macy, and they know I won't be stepping into that role. Thanks to everyone who read or commented on the original post. You helped more than you know. If you're going through something similar, just know you're not selfish. Choosing yourself is okay. Comments. Commenter 1. They said Macy would always be their priority. I eyebrow raised a bit when I saw in your old post that your parents had Macy first and then still kept choosing to have more children. Commenter 2. There are so many people like this who either keep having kids hoping for a normal or to create an unpaid caregiver. Commenter 3. You're quietly breaking a generational cycle of guilt and expectation. That's courageous as hell. Stories number 10. Aita for refusing to take my low-functioning sister out with me and my other sister. I'm 18 with two sisters, Missy, 15F, and Macy, 19F. Macy is high needs, having a 4-year-old's mindset, needing help 24/7. Growing up, I often felt like I was an afterthought, but I get my parents were just dealing with the cards they were given. Missy is usually super independent but has started shutting everyone out, kind of like I used to. She's like two different people, outgoing at school, quiet and to herself at home. So, I've been trying to take her out more, break the chain as best I can. Now, Missy and I planned this weekend trip to celebrate me snagging my first car. We both saved up, and my parents were totally cool with it. So I let them know and my mom asks if Macy could join. I shut that down real quick. Macy's not a fan of trips, especially long ones, and the whole point was for me and Missy to have some quality time. My mom agreed reluctantly, but my dad later pulls me aside, saying it's their chance for a night alone, and it's a way for me to show appreciation. That one night wouldn't ruin our lives. Now I'm stuck. I feel super shitty for not wanting to take Macy, but at the same time how is it fair to me and Missy? I just need some unbiased opinions. Aita. Update 1. A lot of you are asking the same question, so I'll go ahead and try to answer them all. Yes, Macy does have a caregiver all week during the daytime, while everyone is at work school. I also spend time with Macy, the same I do with Missy. We watch movies, read books, we color, and etc. I definitely will tell them that I am not bringing Macy on our trip and is a non-negotiable, and tell them that maybe I could watch her for weekend while they do whatever. I guess when he said appreciation, he was referring to going half of my car. I will also tell them that I do not plan to take care of Macy when they get older pass away and they need to start looking for somewhere for her to go. Definitely will bring up the year's worth of neglect and how sooner or later, they will lose both of their daughters. I really appreciate everyone's advice in the comments, it made me feel less alone. I definitely will be showing them the comments. I'll also do an update post either after the conversation or after our trip, depending how it goes. Update, Aita for refusing to take my low-functioning sister out with me and my other sister. Hey, so. I forgot I even made this post until I was going through old screenshots. Life got busy, a lot happened, and I never came back to update. But since the post reached a lot of people and honestly helped me more than I expected, I figured I'd share how things turned out. Yes, Missy and I went on our trip. It was amazing. Just the two of us, blasting music, grabbing fast food, staying up late talking, and doing normal sibling stuff without pressure. We both really needed it. I told my parents Macy wasn't coming. They weren't thrilled, especially my dad, but they didn't stop us. When I got home, we had a real conversation. I told them everything, how I felt invisible growing up, how Missy was starting to feel the same way, and how our whole world revolved around Macy. I said I wouldn't be her future caregiver. That was when their tone changed. They said Macy would always be their priority. That told me everything I needed to know. A few days later, I moved out. It wasn't dramatic, we all kind of quietly agreed it was time. I started college early and finally got some space. College has been life-changing. I started therapy, which helped me work through guilt and stress I didn't realize I had. I've made new friends and started figuring out who I am outside of my family. I still go home sometimes. I still love Macy. That was never the issue. I just needed to choose myself too. Missy's doing better now. She's more vocal and plans to leave for college soon. My parents and I are civil, but it's different. They've started looking into long-term care options for Macy, and they know I won't be stepping into that role. Thanks to everyone who read or commented on the original post. You helped more than you know. If you're going through something similar, just know you're not selfish. Choosing yourself is okay. Stories number 11. AITH4, taking my friend's man. I, 18F, began seeing my male friend, 18M, since this weekend. I ended up confessing that I loved him, for years unrequited LOL, and he ended up telling me he felt the same way. We're not fully official yet, only some friends know about us. I told my group of friends about it, and one of them, I'll call Dina, not real name, got kind of quiet. So, Dina and my boyfriend are also friends too. She revealed that she had liked him far longer than I did, but I've known him personally for longer. She was under the impression that they were going to be in a relationship. I honestly don't know how she could have gotten that idea. She said that they were working towards it until I told him that I loved him. She has the idea that because I told him my feelings, he did a whole 180 on his feelings for her. I don't believe it. He is mature and not the type of guy to string anyone along. Now, my group of friends are split. Some think that Dina is being ridiculous. The others believe are making jokes that I stole her man. Dina's a good friend, but I had no idea that she liked him. Someone brought up the fact that me and him aren't dating since he didn't ask me out. Now, in our group chat, they keep texting that Dina could possibly swoop in and tell him her feelings. So, AITH, edit, I clarified that she said this after I told them about what happened in the weekend. Also, him and I've been friends for over a decade. Edit 2, we're official now. He's my boyfriend. He said that he never had feelings for her. Update, AITH4, taking my friend's man. I, 18F, wish I could say that this is a happy update and everything was resolved, but no. That's not what happened. I'll just say that I'm not exactly sad or anything, I'm just numb to it. I met up with my friends, and Dina cried again when she saw me. She started to argue with me, repeating that I stole my boyfriend from her. By the way, my boyfriend already told his friends, my friends, and Dina that he wasn't interested in her. She didn't believe that and started to bring up examples. I said she was deluding her own self into believing that his kind actions, which were all normal, had a romantic aspect to it. I gave her the benefit of the doubt before, but not anymore. I'm over her calling me names when I haven't done a thing to her. I tried to talk to my former friends, but they have taken her side. I'm not that shocked though, they were her friends long before they became mine. During lunch, they ignored me. I went to sit with my boyfriend, and his friends actually were really nice to me. They're cool. Dina has tried to talk to my boyfriend alone. He doesn't really trust Dina, he said he would only talk to her with others watching. They talked and he, yet again, told her he never liked her. She cried again and my old friends went to comfort her. They kicked me out of our group chat and that's fine with me. I don't think I was treated well in this friend group, and they can have each other. My old group chat was replaced with my boyfriend's and his friends, they invited me. I probably won't update again, but thanks for the advice and that I wasn't a a-hole. Edit, Dina keeps spreading false information. But the more she lies, the more people aren't believing her. They're now calling her crazy. Stories number 12. Aita for stopping my boyfriend's proposal at our best friend's wedding. I, F26, and my boyfriend, M25, attended a mutual friend's wedding. They're very close friends to us and brought my boyfriend and I together. My boyfriend and I are coming up on our 3-year anniversary and things were getting pretty serious. Enough so that I very much wanted to marry him. He's sweet, chatty, typically considerate and empathetic. He's the person who I thought was the first to show me what a truly healthy and compassionate relationship was like. He's very serious about us too. We've had long talks about marriage and it seemed we were in agreement with no formal declaration. We had even gotten as far as looking at rings. So the chance of a proposal was more of a when, not if. A few weeks before the wedding, us and the engaged couple at the time were hanging out. The topic of weddings was very prevalent and my boyfriend had cracked a joke about proposing at our friend's wedding. The to-be groom joked back and said that'd be funny as hell. This was followed by me and the to-be bride both shutting it down, trying to be serious but also not thinking he was serious. He was. During the reception, everyone had made their speeches and people were getting their food. While our table was waiting, my boyfriend went up to the DJ, and after, they played my boyfriend and I's favorite song to sing in the car together, Story of My Life by One Direction. I look at him, smiling and he's looking around. All of a sudden he grabs a fork, stands up and begins clanging on a glass. Immediately the whole dining room looks over. I stand up and whisper the words, not right now. His face drops and he yells a mix of, I'm sorry, I was just joking. After he sat back down I verbatim said, let them have their moment, let's make this our own. He wouldn't even look at me. When it was time to get our food he immediately goes toward the exit. I follow and try to catch up to him but couldn't find him. I text him twice and call him a couple times, but got no answer, so I went back to the reception. After not hearing from him for about an hour and a half or so, he returns, sits down, and doesn't even look at me. The rest of the night was terrible. He looked like his dog just died and I'm trying to make the best out of the night, but felt like I was just in his shadow. I was prepping for a breakdown or maybe a fight in the car, but the only thing he said was, I don't want to talk about it right now. And the drive was just quiet and awkward. He sent me a long text about how hard it was to get the ring, how he felt rejected by his closest person and that I embarrassed him. I tried to explain that it's not that I didn't want to marry him. It was our best friend's wedding and they deserve their moment. That we should create our own and not piggyback off theirs. He got offended and said that if I wanted to marry him, I wouldn't have stopped his proposal in front of everybody. This situation perplexes me. I've never seen the appeal of proposing at someone else's wedding and tried to handle the situation in a way that I felt was calm and chill. But he's very adamant that I ruined the proposal, made him look like an asshole, and thus I'm the asshole. Am I missing something? Should I admit I was wrong and have just let his proposal go at our friend's wedding? Notable comments. Commenter 1. Proposing at someone else's wedding is incredibly rude. You saved him from embarrassing himself. If he can't be an adult about this and keeps sulking, you have some thinking to do. That he thought it was all right to do in the first place is a huge red flag. Commenter 2. NTA. You and the bride shot him down when he floated this idea. You didn't reject him, you rejected the timing of the proposal and the location. This was their wedding day, not a day for him to shine a spotlight on you. What he was doing was tacky, and you tried to stop him discreetly. If he looks like an asshole, it actually is that he is the asshole, own it, dude. Maybe he's not as awesome and as good at healthy relationships as you thought he was. Commenter 3. Girl, I noticed you are ignoring the comments telling you that this is a bigger red flag than you think because you want to stay positive and think the best of him, but those people are not wrong. The wording in some of these replies can seem harsh, but that's not because they are all anti-relationships or anti-men. It's because unfortunately some of us have lived long enough to see how the story ends with guys like this who in the dating phase ignore your discomfort. Do not respect your desires even after you flat said no about something important. Act like big milestones like a proposal are only about them and what they want, because everybody else they hurt by acting selfish should just get over it. Give you the silent treatment, stonewall you or blame you when you stand up for what's right. This behavior will only get worse after marriage. I know you're young, so you think you know him better than some internet rondos, but if you ignore this now you will only end up paying a bigger price later. Reply. I haven't responded to them, yes, however they aren't being taken lightly. I'm using this time to really evaluate what I want. Seeing if I notice any patterns or behaviors that align with what people are saying. His reaction here is really telling of how he may react in the future and it's something that is really bothering me. Since we've been together, we've had really communicative fights, but nothing ever this big. I do want to give him time to process and see how this is approached given some time to settle. If he doesn't reach out in the next day I'll reach out to him. Regardless of how he approaches, I do see that I'm NTA here, I do expect an apology and I do expect that he addresses what happened and not dodge. I was really hurt when he came back and ignored me for the rest of the time we were there. I wanted to dance, I wanted to have fun. He was caught up in his feelings over something no one seemed to care much over. Please know I am not ignoring out of not seeing any bigger picture. I'm hurting and analyzing. This is also almost 3 years I've committed where the only red flag to me was that he plays Yumi in League of Legends. I don't want to just toss our time and future in the trash over a very shitty timed mistake. Commenter 4. I'm confused as to why you think he's empathetic as you, the person he would be proposing to, told him you didn't want it to happen at your friend's wedding. Somehow he listened to that and decided, screw what she wants. And now is mad at you. Commenter 5. I will say this gently but remember that the moment that would start your marriage he went against your wishes you made clear to him earlier. Then Gray rocked you after you stopped him, which if he would have initially listened to you, you wouldn't have had to do at your friend's wedding. Then when he finally speaks to you, he plays the victim and refuses to acknowledge how he made you feel and instead seeks for you to apologize to him. Take this message that the world is giving you before you time yourself to him legally. Update. Hi all, this is an update from a post I made 2 days ago. You can see that post here. I responded to a few comments but before proceeding with our convo, I read almost every comment hoping to gain new perspectives and see the situation I presented from a different light. After I got home from the wedding, my boyfriend and I texted back and forth. After he went to bed, I made my Reddit post because I absolutely felt like an asshole. I was second-guessing everything and thought the night would have gone better if I had just let him do his thing. After seeing the responses to my post, I'm more solidified in that I made the right decision. Yes, the night was ruined, but I'd be more comfortable with my life moving forward. I gave my boyfriend and myself a day to think about this and come back with clearer heads. That was yesterday. I took a lot of people's advice and tried to reflect on if this behavior was a grand showing of any smaller reaction. The stonewalling isn't super new. In fights at the start of our relationship, he would get quiet and make a small showing of secluding himself. I'd counter this by giving my boyfriend his space and telling him that moving forward, to just say he didn't have the words to talk about it and we can reconvene when we're ready to talk. This worked for us. It gave him time to choose his words, we'd have a good discussion of what went wrong and how we could fix it moving forward. I didn't think that he was overtly trying to make me feel worse by the silent treatment back then. However, ignoring me for the rest of our time at the wedding hurt so much. Not even saying, I just need space right now, and rejecting to hold my hand by pulling away felt like he was pseudo-counter-rejecting me. This was a first. I felt like he was trying to make me feel worse through his lack of communication. That's all I noticed. I've had a partner be verbally abusive to me before and another who wasn't willing to talk about things they did wrong, refusing to take any blame. My boyfriend hasn't done any of that. I'm not saying I recognize all patterns of abuse, but I'd say I'm versed in a few. There's also been no real history of me catering to him constantly as others were asking. If either person had strong feelings one way or another in different scenarios, we'd often be fine with that person getting their way. Otherwise, if we both didn't care all that much, he loves to use a wheel-spinning website to make decisions and I think it's cute. We met earlier today. He came over and we sat in my living room. He broke down. He vehemently apologized and said he felt like an asshole. He said he had been reflecting all of yesterday and talking to his dad about the situation. His dad got mad at him and talked him off his ego crash. His words, not mine. He had already sent a message to our friends, now flying to their honeymoon in West Europe, apologizing for making their most important day about him and for not properly celebrating them. I asked why he neglected our conversation from months before. He said that the groom and their group of friends had egged him on in private since, not to propose at the wedding, but to do it soon. He didn't originally plan on doing it at the wedding. He's had the ring with him for about a month, never had any real plan, and wanted it to just be spontaneous. He told me he got caught up in the atmosphere of the wedding, saw his best friend with his girl and couldn't stop picturing us in the same scenario. His urge overran his common sense, in his terms, and he made a choice he ultimately wishes he could take back. It very much spiraled from there. I noted that while his heart was in the right place, that doesn't excuse the shitstorm he put me through after. I expressed to him that ignoring me really hurt me. That him saying my rejection to his proposal was the reason for his embarrassment and shutdown was unfair, especially since we had already established for him not to do that. He accepted this and continued to apologize, admitting it was very unfair of him and that he should have handled his emotions and embarrassment better. Especially towards me. We had a lull in our conversation after he asked, "Where do we go from here?" At this point, I didn't want to just return back to normal. A day where I expressed to him that I felt the prettiest in a long time, expected us to have enormous fun and watch our best friends have their moment to shine turned into a day where I was crying in my room reading Reddit comments about how I should break up with him. I genuinely thought I was the asshole who should have just bit the bullet and accepted a proposal in a way that I and others thought wasn't okay. I told him that if we were to move forward, he needed to seek a therapist to help him manage his emotions. Not only from this, but other signs that he may have a panic disorder. My mom works for a mental health clinic and has offered resources before. I said that I needed time to rebuild my trust in him. He understood and is going to seek mental health resources through my mom's clinic. Until then, we'll be on a week or so break with an open channel of communication. He's going to find appropriate channels to better himself, and I'm going to take myself on a mini vacation after the emotional roller coaster that was this weekend. We did talk about what each other's ideal proposal was. Something we should have talked about before the trigger was even pulled on it. I said that I didn't care for anything fancy. I just prefer it not to be public. He said that he wanted to make a grand showing of love to me and didn't care where or how. He asked if it was okay to have friends and family present or if that broke my public rule. I said that was fine and was happy with the communicative compromise. I also stated that I didn't want to be proposed to for a while so that we could let this situation rest and figure ourselves out from here. He accepted this. Something I thought was really sweet that I wanted to mention was that before he left, he said, "I do think I owe you some dancing." And so we slow danced in my living room for about a half hour until he left. A small and romantic action, prob to earn brownie points, but the conversation did reassure me that he's willing to try and be better. He recognized he was in the wrong and that a joyful day was robbed by pride and not rejection. This was about as ideal of an outcome as I'd hoped. Thank you all for taking time out of your days to reply and bring me back to earth. Thank you to those who messaged me in private to make sure I was okay or to give input. While the future is still obscure, it's a little clearer than it was a couple days ago. I have a clearer understanding now of what I want and what's healthy. Moving forward, I will do every ounce of weighing before I enter what should be the most important commitment you can make to a person you love, and I'll keep a more careful eye on his behaviors and how he may react to adverse situations. I hope the best for you all as many have for me. Thank you. Consensus. Commenters are happy it worked out. Notable comments. Commenter 1. I picture the poor guy face palming so hard his soul almost left his body after hearing the stunt his son made glitter doomsday. I hope you are really proud of yourself. That was a really difficult position to be put in, and you handled it really well. I'm very impressed. To come out of it with such a grown-up solution, and to have managed, in the moment, under extreme pressure, to not derail your friend's wedding is a minor triumph. Whatever happens next, you have really done well here, and it won't be your fault if it fails to work out. I wish you all the best, and hope you both get the proposal you want in the end. Commenter 2. Thank you for this informative and refreshing update. Something a bit concerning, is it took boyfriend's father telling him he's an a-hole to come and talk to you. Whatever is in store down the line, for both you and your boyfriend, whether together or apart, I wish you both the best. Stories number 13. My partner cutting off a lifelong family friend because of her inappropriate messages. So I am in a kind of fucked up situation. I mean, I know I am right to have my boundaries, but I also feel guilty that my husband is cutting off help to lifelong family friends because of me. My husband is a doctor, so it's normal that family and friends kind of come to him for reassurance because someone you know either reaffirming what you were told or giving you a referral if possible makes people feel better. Zero issues there. I love that he is empathetic, and it honestly makes me wicked proud of him that people think that highly of him. So he has a friend who he grew up with, their families pretty much raised them together. They were always friends since we met, but never like super close, plus we live in a different part of the US. I have met her multiple times and she seemed very sweet. She also was married when I originally met her and has 2 kids. Well, her father is very sick with a type of cancer that has a low rate of recovery. We live in the Northeast and they live down south, so our medical care is definitely exponentially better. My husband has been helping consult and just being a good friend to them to make sure he gets the best care possible. This friend has been a bit needy and using him for emotional support. I get it, I'm not jealous because what we have is solid. Plus when he has his medical mindset, that's it. Well, over the weekend he woke up to some very questionable texts from this friend. She pretty much declared her love for him, claimed God brought them together through this and that she always knew they'd end up together. Like what the actual fuck? He told me as soon as he saw them in the morning. He messaged her back saying that what she said was highly inappropriate, she needs to find a therapist and that he no longer can help out. She claimed she was drinking and emotional. She also begged him not to tell me. We don't keep secrets. He blocked her number. I don't know what she told his mom exactly, but she's so angry and apparently it's all my fault. We don't like each other either. I'm not the Christian housewife she envisioned me for her son, I guess. I didn't ask him to cut all ties, He did it out of respect and says that she has doctors and family to lean on. I feel slightly guilty because I hope that this doesn't impact quality of care. Maybe there was a way to cut her out and my husband helps her mom with medical stuff when needed. This whole situation has been making me feel gross. Aita. I don't think I am, but I feel bad. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. But I bet your MIL has been feeding this woman all kinds of bullshit about you and feeding her ego. Reply. I 100% believe that she is flaming this fire. Commenter 2. It's so refreshing to see here an adult prioritizing their spouse against their dumb original family. OP, you are in a complex situation, but no way in AH, and your husband just did the right, and professional, thing. Reply. I am all about helping and advocating for those I care about. I just don't want to feel the guilt that her dad could have had some of that because his daughter is an idiot who decided to shoot her shot with my husband during an emotional time. Commenter 3. Absolutely NTA. Good on your husband for cutting that off. Your MIL is a dumbass who probably wanted them to end up together. Don't let her gaslight you into thinking you did something wrong. You didn't even cut her off, your husband did. Reply. Oh, I absolutely agree, she wanted them to get together. In her mind, them ending up together would mean him moving back there, her having grandkids and their families being even more intertwined. Commenter 4. LOL, now get to work on cutting out the mum. NTA. Reply. She was cut out for a while, haha, she begged him not to marry me. She also said our marriage wasn't real because we didn't have a church wedding. Commenter 5. NTA. Aside from the question of whether your husband did right to cut her off, and I believe he was absolutely right, this is his issue and not yours, and he made the decision. You have no cause to feel guilty about it. As for his mother blaming you, that is so typical. I also have a MIL who hated me, now she is too feeble to do any harm, and whenever her son did something she didn't approve of, it was always my fault. That is controlling mother's way of pretending that their son is still under their control, and it's only the outsider who is pulling him away. Just ignore her. Reply. He's an only child, so I think that plays into her being even more insanely possessive over him. He just doesn't tolerate it. He said graduating high school was like being set free from a jail, because she was so controlling up until he left the house. She even tried to dictate where he went to undergrad because she wanted him to stay somewhat close. OOP and her husband ongoing LCNC with MIL. Reply. We went no contact for a while and are currently low contact because she makes it impossible to have a relationship with my FIL without her. She had been on good behavior for the last year or so. I let him communicate with them for us because she is too much of a headache for me. He knows how to handle her because he has been doing it his whole life. OOP on MIL wanting grandchildren. Reply. My mom also really wanted grandchildren, but my mom was with me when I went through cancer in my early 20s and learned I was going to have to get a hysterectomy. My MIL knows why I cannot have kids and she seemingly resents me for it. My husband knew right when we started dating that I couldn't have children and about what I went through medically. Update. I wanted to just post a quick update on our situation. My husband called his mother to try to set clear boundaries. I am pretty sure she doesn't believe that boundaries apply to her, and set things straight before they escalated more. Well, apparently that crazy train had already left the station. He called her on speaker phone, which he told her, while I was in the room. She lost her mind and demanded they have a private conversation because this was a matter between family. He corrected her, and let her know I am family. She then went on a rant about how I was displaying abusive and controlling behavior. She claimed I was isolating him from his family, like I did before. We went no contact with her once before because of her bad behavior and she blames me and I guess had been holding on to that, like what the fuck. I had to leave the room then because my anxiety was too much. He is the most calm and level-headed person I know and he was starting to raise his voice. About 5 minutes later he came into our bedroom where I was trying to not have an anxiety attack. He told me he let her know how disgusted he was with her behavior and disappointed that she didn't learn her lesson about trying to interfere with our marriage. He also informed her for an indefinite amount of time he will be taking space from her. He also told her not to try to contact me, I have her silenced already. Oh, one fun little fact that came out is that his mom and ex have been seeing a lot of each other. His mom has been helping with the kids while the ex-friend and her mom are dealing with medical stuff for her dad. Just to address a couple things. Yes. I realize I have an amazing partner, I love this man so much. I regularly tell him and show him how much I love and appreciate him, so don't worry. The reason I thought I might be somewhat in the wrong is because I have battled cancer in my early 20s. During that time I had a boyfriend cheat on me with a good friend of mine because he was overwhelmed, and they tried to gaslight me into thinking it was my fault because of all of the stress. I felt so abandoned and hurt, I just didn't want to feel like I was making anyone else feel that bad. I know the situation is very different. I am a bit of a people pleaser, working on that with my therapist. Cancer is the worst and my heart hurts for anyone who is going through it, that includes family of the person who is sick. I also want to say to the person who called me a narcissist, because this isn't about me. I think it says more about you than me that what you took from my post was just that. I hope you have the day you deserve. Thanks to everyone else for the support and advice, I genuinely appreciate it. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, I read your old post to get familiar and I'm laughing at your MIL's reaction. She's upset you're not the ideal Christian wife. Well, that friend going after a married man is totally the Christian thing to do. Your husband is a good man. I wish I read more posts where the husband had as much of a backbone as what yours does. You didn't do anything wrong. Reply, she is literally the worst. She's so judgmental and controlling. One of her favorite things is to make comments and count how many drinks other people are having. One day I swear I would end up snapping and letting her know that her coffee cup she always has with her does not contain coffee. Commenter 2, man gotta stand up to his mama sometimes. Wife looks like she's taking it in stride anyway. What do you think the MIL's next move is gonna be, more passive-aggressive, concern, or full-blown attack mode? Reply, she tried to call my husband using his dad's phone. Fortunately we were busy so he didn't answer it. My husband called his dad back like an hour after and he was like, I'm sorry, your mom must have used my phone. My husband had to fill him in and let him know what actually happened versus her bullshit sob story she was spinning. He's a good guy, and he understands that we need to step away from his wife. Commenter 3, some friendships have expiration dates, especially when they turn toxic. Your partner chose you over chaos, that speaks volumes. Reply, I'm thankful that he made that choice on his own, he's a very good man. Did MIL had her heart on her son marrying the family friend? Planning his life out? Reply, my MIL definitely had his whole life planned out for him. She wanted to pick his college, then she expected him to move home after, she wanted to pick his wife, she feels entitled to grandkids. She had also consistently asked him about moving back to his home state because they are getting older and she expects him to uproot his whole life to take care of her. He has told her that is absolutely not happening multiple times, he had recently started ending their phone calls if she brought it up. OOP responds on her husband being the only child. Reply, yup, only child. She apparently had wanted multiple kids but couldn't have any more. So he was her miracle baby. My MIL did not want to adopt, she did not want to end up with anyone's problem child. So finding out we couldn't have, I couldn't, have bio kids I think was the final nail in my coffin for her. We are happily child-free though. I would have totally been open to adoption if we had wanted kids. Stories number 14. Handling my aunt's estate, and I have no idea how to proceed. I'm not sure if these types of posts are allowed, so please delete if not. I had to put my aunt in an assisted living facility, and I'm now in charge of liquidating her estate to help pay for it. She was big into quilting and had an entire 15 by 20 shed dedicated to it, full of supplies. I've already sold her quilting machine and her sewing machines, but it's the fabric I'm lost on. This is just a sample of one shelving unit. So far, I've weighed the fabric in each compartment since that's the only reference I have, and just the stuff I've had time to weigh, she has 700 pounds of material. I'm sure there is another 200 pounds I haven't touched yet. And these are just the uncut items. She has a few dozen of these totes full of cut material. How do you go about selling such a massive quantity of material like this? Her property is 3 hours away from me, so it's not like I can just run down the street. And unfortunately, it's in a relatively remote area, so I don't think I'd get much traffic having a sale there. Is it worth transporting everything to a major metropolitan area to sell it? I'd probably have to rent a U-Haul because if I'm bringing the material back, I might as well bring all the other antiques with me. Edit. Thank you all for the overwhelming response, suggestions, offers, and most importantly, for sharing your knowledge. I was not expecting this kind of reaction. I have someone who is buying all the material. Comments. Commenter 1. A local quilting store did an estate sale for a local quilter. I believe it was all sold by the pound unless it was a kit or a pack of pre-cuts. If you know which store was her favorite, they might help you with something like this. Most quilting stores have an area for teaching that has tables, etc. They asked for payment in either cash or Venmo. The fabric store did not take any proceeds that I'm aware of. Just wanted to help out the family. Commenter 2. This is actually a great idea. I know where she spent most of her money, so I'll call them and see if they might be able to help. Commenter 3. Along these lines, if she was involved in a church or other organization, quilt guild, book club, DAR, whatever, they may be able to help you find a space and manpower to sell things just because they want to help their friend. They could also help spread the word that you're selling this stuff. By weight is definitely the easiest way to sell the random scraps and yardage she has. Any pre-cut items like jelly rolls, fat quarter bundles, or kits would definitely be able to be sold for more. For tools and gadgets, be sure to Google what the normal price for things would be new, then pick how much to discount based on condition. A lot of quilting tools cost more than non-quilters realize. Commenter 4. She did run a quilt guild, but they disbanded during COVID, and from what she's told me, they all just got too old to do it anymore. One of her neighbors did buy her quilting machine, and is possibly interested in some fabric, so I'm working with her to see if she can connect me with people. But haven't gotten very far yet. This is so true. I knew nothing about this world and have learned so much. I've also learned how sewing machines work during all of this, which could come in handy down the road. LOL. One great thing that has come from this is that I've met random people in their town who my aunt has made quilts for through the years. My first trip down there after she fell and broke her back, I was trying to gather any legal papers I needed. I was already on their bank accounts, so I stopped by the banks. Everyone knew her, and asked how she was, and I got to hear stories of quilts she made for several tellers. Then I went to the local library, because that's the closest place that had internet, and if I was going to spend any extended time there, I'd need to work remotely, and their house had no internet or cell service. As I'm talking to the librarian and filling out the form to get a card so I can use their computer's Wi-Fi, she's asking why I'm in town, etc. I explain that I'm taking care of my aunt and uncle's place and mention the name. She casually mentions, "Oh, that name looks familiar. There was a lady who would come in here all the time with her really quiet husband. She didn't happen to make quilts." I say, before she can finish, "Yes, that's my aunt," and she proceeds to tell me how my aunt came to her house with samples and let her pick out whatever she wanted, and made her 2 quilts for her grandkids. These types of stories happened everywhere I went. Commenter 5. This is so rough. Is she mentally acute? If so, she may be able to tell you if there are any major brands to look out for. Some are considered higher end than others, and could be worth separating out and trying to find buyers. If she was more into buying lower-end fabrics, they may be best sold in giant bundles. Reading this post makes me so sad. I can't imagine what it would be like to abruptly lose a spouse and then become seriously injured shortly after. Much less needing to then move away from my hobbies and memories. That sounds like so much to have weighing on you. Wishing you and her good luck with everything. Commenter 6. Unfortunately, she has early stages of dementia, and it's very difficult to rely on anything she tells me. She's still there enough that she doesn't need to be in a memory care unit, but I fear that isn't far off. If that happens, it will double our monthly expenses. This is why I'm trying to make as much money as possible so she can live as comfortable as possible while she's aware of what's going on. The kind woman who made 2 trips told me that none of the fabric was cheap and that my aunt had amazing taste in fabric. That's really all I have to go on. Commenter 7. Go back to the library and tell them what you said here. Her local town, while small may be helpful, at least find out if someone who knows about her quilts would be interested in getting the word out that you need to liquidate and get money to help with her expenses. The local community may do more than you think. Here's the thing, if you are in the USA, with the closure of Joann's, the looming trade war, that almost all quilt fabric mills are not in the USA, prices for fabric are going to go crazy high. I know you don't have much time, it's a distance from you, but do not just give the fabric away, or take really reduced prices. Remember, new fabric is easily $12 or more per yard now. New fabric is not better than older fabric. I have pieces I bought some 10 years ago and the quality is so much better than what I can find now. You have a gold mine there, so don't be in a big hurry and let someone give you pennies to the dollar of what the value really is. Did a quick search. 1 pound of fabric is roughly 4 yards. That means each pound at new prices today is about $48. Don't sell short. Commenter 8. Great info. Thank you. Edit. What's funny is I jokingly told my aunt that I was going to call Joann's and see if they needed a restock of material. That was before they announced the closures. LOL. Editor's note Joann's, was a fabric store chain that started out in the US. Throughout its history, it bought out smaller mom and pop fabric stores or undercut them until it was the only game in town, much like Walmart's behavior in smaller towns in the US. It was recently bought by private equity, gutted, and is now going out of business at the end of May 2025. For most places, it was the only closest store for quilting and garment fabric. This has some of the info as well as this. You can check out the Joann Fabric subreddit to see what's going on, but remember to be kind to them. It's tumultuous for them. The power of Reddit and the amazingness of this community. A while back Hidperf posted an inquiry on where to start with his aunt's estate, which included a lot of quilting fabric. The quilting community, both here and IRL, gave him excellent feedback and advice. I will share on his behalf that he said he was blown away by the amount of support and guidance he received. Hearing that once again made me so incredibly proud to be part of this group. The kindness and helpfulness I see here every day is second to none. He and I connected via DM on Reddit, then we had a phone call, and we texted for a couple weeks to make sure everyone stayed on the same page, and we met in person this weekend. Along with help from my very gracious and understanding husband, we loaded up his aunt's most prized possession, filling both a pickup truck and a minivan. His aunt is obviously a very talented quilter, and took great pride and care in the storage and maintenance of her stash. She had so many of the same fabrics as my late MIL, and I was near tears a few times. I am completely humbled and honored to carry on both of their legacies. Also, if anyone needs a fabric match from the last 40-ish years, chances are good I might have it. Feel free to contact me and I'll share it for free if you pay postage. Happy quilting everyone, and continue being the coolest community on Reddit. Commenter 9. Oh, my gosh. You need to quit posting and start quilting, rolling on the floor laughing. Have a great time creating with all that fabric. Commenter 10. Haha, right? They started finishing our basement yesterday, which will be my first official studio. It will take about 8 weeks, and it will take me at least that long to sort and organize all of this. But every piece I go through is providing loads of inspiration. Also, I now have to live to be 317 years old to get through all of this. Rolling on the floor laughing. Commenter 11. Oh, I love sorting all the new fabrics. Definitely its own separate hobby. Enjoy. And start taking extra vitamins now. You'll need them if you want to stay the course until you're 300-ish. Commenter 12. I'm a quilt spouse and agree that our quilting is where it's at. No corner of the internet is perfect, but the folks here plus all the other quilting groups my wife belongs to are so *king nice. It's heartwarming and gives one faith in the future. At least a little bit. Quilt on. Commenter 13. I firmly believe we need a sub dedicated to quilt spouses. My husband, who spent his first 6 days of retirement driving and ironing, would agree. Stories number 15. Aita for not swapping apartments with my sister. I, 24F, live in a 2-family home that I share with my immediate family. My sister and her girlfriend, both 26F, live upstairs, 3-bed, 1-bath, with our dad, while I share the downstairs, 2-bed, 1-bath, with our mom. Recently, my sister moved her friend A, 26-ish F, into the guest room upstairs along with her cat after A escaped a bad relationship. Our mother has been in Arizona tending to her very elderly father for about 6 months now, so I live alone downstairs. Mom is a bit of a hoarder, and while she's in AZ, I've been slowly clearing out the apartment to make it functional again. I've spent many hours and a fair bit of my own money to accomplish this. Due to A and her cat moving in, upstairs now has 4 people and 4 animals. 3 cats belong to A and my sister, and Dad's dog. This past weekend my sister approached me about swapping apartments for an undetermined amount of time, which I, stupidly and a little bit stunned, agreed to initially. I eventually retracted my agreement and decided I didn't want to swap. There would be a lot of moving around, and my sister's girlfriend, N, and Mom don't get along due to Mom's generally shitty parenting in my sister and I's childhood and N being kind of awful. After some snarky back and forth between my sister and I, typical of our not great relationship, I pointed out it was a bit unfair that my sister moved in 2 of the people and 3 of the animals and is now complaining it's cramped and trying to move into Mom and I's apartment despite all the work I've put in. My sister is still kind of mad at me, and I feel a little bad because it probably is feeling kind of cramped. Now I'm wondering if me refusing to move is worth the conflict. Aita Reddit. This wasn't really clear from the OG post, but she would want to move the cats, her friend, and girlfriend downstairs. One of the bedrooms is locked and fully occupied by Mom's stuff. There is a dining room that used to be Mom's main hoarding spot that I've since mostly cleared out that I guess she would turn into her and girlfriend's bedroom. Extra edit. For right now, unfortunately A has literally nowhere else to go. Both I and my sister know the situation upstairs would improve if she left, but we're not going to kick her and her animal to the streets. Stories number 16. Aita for sunbathing topless at my own house and kicking out my husband's sister and her family. I, 25F, had started sunbathing topless next to our backyard pool. I had no idea anyone was coming, and I was shocked when I saw my husband's sister Chloe, her husband Mike, and their 8-year-old son come up to me. They were staring at my boobs, and Chloe, 38F, stood over me while saying, "Really? Topless while we're coming over?" And Mike just kept staring, and I didn't know WTF to say, and I ended up covering my nipples with my arm and Chloe pulled them back towards the house. I put on my top and went inside, and Chloe gave me a dirty look and told me not to leave all of my boobs hanging out for her husband and kid to see next time. Also, a previous time we hung out, she had told me to cover up more around her husband, but we were literally both wearing bikinis, just my boobs are bigger. I blew up on them saying I didn't know they were even coming over, and my husband apologized to Chloe saying he forgot to tell me and he thought he already did. Apparently she texted him earlier, and he had let them in. I was mad and I told them they needed to leave and they said that their son was looking forward to our pool and my husband tried to calm me down but I pushed them out. Aita. Stories number 17. Whipped if I tell my friend to stop with her coping mechanism. So I am trans, but I come from a culture where being trans is dangerous. For my safety I immigrated to a much more welcoming country when I was 22. I changed my name and began going on estrogen. I am much happier as when I meet people for the first time they assume I am a cis female. I have a small group of friends that I made 3 years ago. One of these friends has a rather interesting hobby. She enjoys going on social media apps and basically learning everything she can about a person. I'm not really sure why she does this as it seems very weird to me, but she basically told me that she does it because of the trauma she has from her high school friends who basically bullied her into think she forgot important info about them. Ever since then she goes on social media or even listens to gossips about almost everyone that she knows just so she never misses a thing. I don't really understand it, but as someone with trauma myself I understand that we handle things differently than what's normal. I haven't told my friends that I am trans. I understand that it seems wrong, but I just generally don't trust people with that kind of information. It's not that I don't think they will be supportive, I just don't think that they need to know this. That and I'm a little afraid of our dynamic changing as I love them a lot and can't stand to lose any more loved ones. I know that if it comes to a point where it's needed, I will tell them. But right now it's not important information. So this friend, Amelia, fake name, was acting really weird around me. It felt like she was bringing up or talking about similar things that I haven't told anyone about. Not directly, but she'll say things like I heard about this place called restaurant that I went to when I was younger, the food seems interesting there. I thought I was just going crazy at first as the internet is free and she is allowed to see things from my hometown without it being linked to me. That is until yesterday she was talking our friends about baby names as she is pregnant and brought up my freaking dead name. We made eye contact for a bit as my friends gushed on how cute it sounded but all agreed it doesn't really fit her ethnicity. She moved on and never brought it up again. I don't feel anything towards that name, nor do I feel like she isn't allowed to name her baby after it if she so desires to, but it feels like a twisted form of power play. I'm not sure how she found it, but I don't think she'll use it against me nor out me as she's not that type of person. I feel like maybe she's just trying to hint that she knows. Right now I just want to call her out on what she's doing and tell her that she needs to stop as it's making me uncomfortable. But again, I'm not sure if this is the right move as it is her coping mechanism for her trauma. Notable comments. Commenter 1. Just keep ignoring this person. She is not a friend. And I call bull on her trauma. That is her excuse other than just being a nosy Nelly. If the trauma were true, she would not be doing the same thing. Your identity is no one's business but yours to disclose if you choose to do so, in your own way and to whom you would choose to do so. I don't think confronting this person is the way to do it. Reply. You're probably right, honestly. I'm just worried I might overstep and lose everything as they have been friends with each other longer than they have been with me. Commenter 2. I think if it's bothering you and you feel concerned, gently ask her in private if there's anything on her mind that she would like to say. It's possible that you feel sensitive and are connecting things that aren't there, or she is being a bit cruel teasing you with triggering information to get a reaction out of you. If she enjoys being nosy about people's lives in her private capacity, that's her deal, but using that information that is meant to stay private is not okay. P.S. I don't think you need to tell anyone that you are trans unless you want to. It's you business. Who you are as you are is all that matters. The details are irrelevant. Commenter 3. NTA for being uncomfortable, but telling other people what to do is a losing game. You can set boundaries by pruning your social media, either by restricting this person's access or by removing anything you don't want people to see. I know the cat may already be out of the bag in this case, but it's still worth doing for the future. I'd also consider whether you want to be friends with this person. I'm not sure how compatible y'all are as friends, given your desire for privacy versus her cyber sleuthing habit. Reply. I don't really have much on my social media, mostly because I'm not a poster, so I really don't know how she found it as even my last name is different from my family's. Commenter 4. NTA. I'm sick of toxic people applying some sort of psychological concept to dismiss their behavior. This person is not your ally, your friend, or a decent human being. Comments by OOP. I don't think it will affect my friendships with them, but it's a feeling that's hard to explain. I don't want them to know because I want to seem like a normal girl, if that makes sense. I'm worried that by telling them everything will change. It's not a very common name in my culture, and I moved to a more Western country where unless I told her or again she found it, nobody would know it. It's hard to explain without directly outing myself on the internet. Update. First of all, wow, I just want to thank everybody for the nice comments and messages that were really sent to me. I'll be honest, the last 3 to 4 months have been so difficult for me and the kind words I received really helped. On to the updates. Amelia gave birth to a healthy baby boy, and no, she did not name him after my dead name. I don't think I would have cared anyway because 1. Like I said, I don't feel any attachment or trauma with that name, and 2. It's her loss if she names her son that because she is white as snow and I am an Arab. Regardless, I still felt happy for her and celebrated her son because she was still my friend. Second, there's a trend on TikTok or Instagram where a person A will record person B and film their reaction to hearing the sentence, "I'm so hungry I could eat," name. For those who might not know, the name that they will say tends to be the name of a person that person B has a strong past with, like an ex or a dead friend or something. Me and my friend group went over to my best friend's house for a girls' night to spend time with Amelia since she's been busy with her son. They did TikTok trend, and since I don't really frequent social media nor post myself, I mostly watched and chit-chat with my other friends who also weren't super into trends. We were having fun till Amelia pointed the phone at me and said, "Hey, my name, I'm so hungry I could eat, father's name." I was beyond shocked. My dead name has no meaning to me but my father's. Like a knife twisted into me. Hearing his name made me panic. I guess my other friends noticed and told Amelia to stop and delete the video. I basically dissociated during the argument, but from what my friends told me after was that Amelia claimed it was just a joke and a trend that people do. She then went on to claim I was in the wrong and outed me to my friends, who luckily didn't care, like they were accepting as I hoped. She basically got kicked out of the house after a long screaming match, and my friends told me she wasn't welcome in the friend group anymore after what she had done to me. I felt awful about this as she was friends with them longer than I was and felt like I was running things. They assured me I didn't and they accepted me. I apologized for not telling them sooner and they understood that it was my secret to tell. Amelia did end up posting the video and vague posted about me and the rest of the group. It got taken down after my best friend confronted her, forced her to and delete the videos, but the damage was already done and a lot more people knew. But on the brighter side, I never really got questioned by those mutual friends of Amelia, so that's good. After that we never really heard or paid any attention to her again. I finally started therapy and my therapist was the one who suggested to update you all, as some form of closure, she said. So once again, thank you Reddit for all the kind words and messages, and hopefully nothing else this bad happens again. Notable comments. 3 guesses say that they know what she's like, and this was the last boulder that broke the camel's back. Stories number 18. I am meeting my ex-best friend after 10 years of no contact, tomorrow. Something really interesting is happening to me, 29F. So, when I was 6 years old and I started school, I met a friend named Linda, 29F. We were both with no sisters, just brothers, and we bonded. We lived in a small village, so of course our families knew each other, and because of us they also grew closer. So me and Linda were inseparable. We went through high school together, same class, also on the beginning of our studies on the same group. We had other best friends along the way that we made in high school, which I still talk to, 2 of them, and we were a really fun group. But only me and Linda were together in the same university during studies. This happened until Linda knows someone that she falls in love. He lived abroad and they immediately introduced one another to each other's families. So, eventually he started pulling Linda away from us, controlling her via GPS, controlling who should she hang out with, when, etc. At first, I really liked him because he was the love of my best friend, and whenever they had a fight I would try to bring the peace, so he respected me. But, when I saw how controlling he was, I told Linda that I don't think she should be in that position. I also called him out when he was controlling her and abusing her verbally. When I called him out, he obligated Linda to never hang out with me again, specifically, and slowly divided her from the whole group. We lived in the same village, but I never saw her again. She even stopped studies. Her parents invited me to her wedding and I didn't want to go, but my parents said we should go for the sake of the family friendship. They invited my parents too. I saw Linda for the first time after almost a year and a half in a wedding dress, and when we locked eyes we both were emotional and I noticed her eyes full of tears. Her mum and grandmother, who loved me like their own, when they came to greet me, both of them busted into tears, and that was the last day I saw Linda until she went to live abroad. For almost 10 years I only saw her twice, just in the blink of an eye, and that's it. I can't say I didn't think of her sometimes. In the beginning I thought of her more often, but as the years passed by, I thought of her time by time, about her well-being, about her life with that man. I heard some rumors that she is struggling in marriage, but never something specific. That's until couple months ago when I met her father with her son in our town's coffee shop. I greeted him. When I looked at Linda's son, I asked, "Is this?" and froze, and her father said, "Yes, he is." I asked the little boy if I could hug him, and he said yes. I hugged him, kissed him on the cheek, and he hugged me back. Linda's father referred to me as, "This is your mom's friend," and that was it about that day. After some days I heard that she got divorced, she was physically abused, her husband cheated on her, had an affair with her boss, there were rumors they even share a kid together, and that was the last straw for her and decided to end the marriage. The rumors got confirmed by Linda's mum to my mum at a funeral they met in town. I never could ask about her because I didn't want to sound like I am happy about her situation or like I want to gossip about her, and to be honest, some kind I was happy for her, not because of what happened to her, but because she got free of him finally. Not many days passed by when we saw the news of her ex-husband's death. We still don't know if it was an accident, if he killed himself, or what was the cause of his death. No one ever told that. This brings us to yesterday when one of our best friends, which is still my best friend, we'll call her Anna, saw Linda in the town and decided to go and talk to her. She called me immediately after and told me every detail. Linda was emotional and on the verge of tears when they met, and they shared contacts and also decided to meet for coffee, them and me, tomorrow. Also, one of other best friend of us, which we still are pretty close, that lives abroad and is in town said she would join too, and I never in my whole life imagined our group again together, let alone me and Linda together after 10 years with no contact. I thought I don't feel love for her anymore, I didn't love her nor hate her, but I got this scary feeling for tomorrow, and something inside me is so excited, I feel like I will meet my child self. I never hated her, and I never got angry of her decision to leave me. I got angry of her decision to ruin her beautiful life that she had created until he came along. And I felt angry and sorry, only for her, but I know that things happen for a reason, so I never judged her for her decisions. It was her life and her mistakes to live. We're none perfect and we all make stupid decisions. The thing is, heart always go back to her home. No matter her reaction, cold or warm towards me, I will still try to talk only about our childhood, beautiful things we did. I want her to feel safe and bring to her just a glimpse of her beautiful life into the hard times she is going through. I am so excited. Commenter, amazing. Just enjoy being with your friend. I bet the years will just disappear. Reply, I don't know. Life happened and it's been 10 years. She also still lives abroad and I'm sure she has a lot going on, since her ex-husband died just 3 months ago. I don't know if I should hope for where we left, but whatever is going to be, it'll be enough for me. Update post. Hi everybody, I hope you're all doing good. Some of you asked for an update about me meeting my friend. The meeting was yesterday and it went better than I imagined. We had to meet after I finished my shift and through all day I felt a little mixed emotions. I didn't know how she would react when she sees me. Anna and her scheduled the place and time to meet all of us, and when I went there they were already talking and greeting each other. I told myself that no matter what, I will give Linda a warm and long hug, and after that if I feel her uncomforted I will take a step back. She hugged me back and at first, it felt good but a little strange, like I am hugging an unknown person, but after some seconds it felt like I am hugging the Linda I know. We walked just a little until we decided where to sit for coffee, and I didn't want to ask anything about what she've been going through. I wanted our first meet to be filled with laughs and good memories. Anna didn't ask her either, we went straight to being our teenage selves, being silly and mocking each other, of course in a good way. Linda at first felt a little uncomfortable because I know she felt guilty about how things ended between us without an explanation, without saying goodbye, without any reason, but, when she saw us being completely ourselves like we used to be when she left us, she started opening up, being more comfortable and laughing with us. I didn't want to sound like I don't care about her life at all, so I asked if she is working, how her son is and things like this in general, and when she started to openly talk she was on the verge of tears, but didn't cry. I feel like she felt like she owes us an explanation on what happened with her life, what she've been through, but I told her, let's make today only about good things. Whatever happened to you is now gone, and I know you are so strong, and so loved and supported, and I know you are in a better place than you were, and all I care about is this, seeing you good. She told us a glimpse of what she've been through, how she was obligated to sneaky leave just with the clothes she was wearing, some things for her son, and her aunt that lived in the same state took her and opened her home for Linda and her son. She did a restraining order and told the police she had to leave because of the physically and verbally abuse, so she could take full custody of her son. She won the case and asked for her son to meet her father only supervised by authorities. She was really struggling to find a place of her own and had to live with her aunt for a while, until she found a small apartment near her and moved there. She found a retail job part-time, and since then Linda and her son are living together. I asked how her ex died, and she said she don't know because she was fully no contact with him and her in-laws, changed her number, got out of all social media, and until an unknown number called to tell her he is dead, she didn't have an idea. They said that he died from heart attack, but that's all she knows about his death. She also didn't believe her ex-sis-in-law when she called to inform her about his death. Linda said, "Don't bother me," and hung up. After a while the news was confirmed and she believed that he actually died, and of course she was devastated. Her telling the story got me teared up, and I told her that the most important thing is that she is doing better, and to never ever look back on the past, just in the future. We then changed the subject and talked about old times, joked, laughed, just like back in the time. Our third best friend came later but still managed to spend time together, all of us, like nothing has changed. My house and her parents' house are nearby and we drove together at our town and I said I would like to meet her son just for a few minutes outside the door, just so I could hug him and go. We went, and her grandmother, her mother, her whole family were out, hugging me and inviting me over. Her son hugged me. He was a little bit shy, but I didn't like to push him to be closer, so I just hugged him, and let him be. I went inside just for 5 minutes but ended staying almost 40 minutes, talking with her family, laughing, telling old stories. It felt just like when we used to hang out back then. After that Linda dropped me home and she had to leave first thing in the morning. She said she'll be back during summer and we'll definitely meet. I told her she can call me whenever she wants. We hugged, said goodbye, and that's the whole story. I felt so happy. I felt like she needed this so much as we did, and I am so glad we are again in touch. Thank you all for your good wishes. Stories number 19. My 25M girlfriend, 26F, bought a motorcycle and now she expects me to ride 2 up behind her. About 2 years ago my girlfriend expressed the desire to ride a motorcycle. She enrolled in driving school and almost immediately bought a motorcycle with which she obtained her license. I supported her completely and also financially. The motorcycle was partially a gift from me. Last year she went on many rides alone or with other bikers she met on some internet forums, and sometimes she tried to ride with some of her female friends as pillion. Now that the warm season has arrived and she has been riding for almost 2 years, she has started asking me to go out on her motorcycle together. I told her that I have no problem with her riding a motorcycle but that I find it embarrassing to ride 2 up behind her. We started arguing every day about this. How do I make her understand that in 2024 it's still a big stigma to ride behind a girl and that I don't feel like doing it? TLDR, girlfriend bought a motorcycle and after 2 years she expects me to ride as her passenger. I think it's embarrassing and I don't want to do it. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Compromise. Do it once every year. I do tons of things I don't want to do to support my partner. Reply. Finally, a good suggestion. I can try it. Commenter 2. I think compromise. I don't see it as a big deal, but if it bothers you she should understand. Shouldn't be all the time but occasionally couldn't hurt, maybe you'll even like it. Top comment. Commenter. Well, if you don't want to do it then you don't want to do it and she shouldn't be pressuring you. But I also think if my girlfriend had a motorcycle I'd ride behind her every chance I can because it's fucking cool. Update. About a month ago I asked for advice and received few but heavy criticisms. You were right. I admit that I didn't react in the best way. Your comments kept me up at night and the next day I decided to talk to my girlfriend. Actually I wrote something false, not that it changes much, but I'm 34 and she's 35. I also left out an important fact, something that not even my fiancé knew. In the country where I grew up you have to be 18 to drive a car, no exceptions. But from 14 years old you can ride a small moped. Everyone has at least one moped in the family. In my high school class, in my country high school starts at 14 and ends at 19, I was practically the only one who didn't have a moped, I'm not joking. Both my father and mother had a moped, but in their opinion a moped was too dangerous for a little boy to ride. When my friends and I went out in the evening I was the only one who had to be picked up by my parents, the others were all on their own mopeds. When I was 16 I was at a classmate's birthday party. When the party ended I saw my mother arrive to pick me up with her moped. Apparently my father had fallen asleep, she didn't want to wake him and she didn't want to drive the car so she came to pick me up on a moped. I was livid but have no choice to leave with her. This completely destroyed my teenage life. My nickname became Moped Boy Mama Boy, girls laughed at me and boys made fun of me and bullied me. My social life was reduced to a few occasions and the last 2 years of high school, 18 to 19 years old, were spent in total solitude since even on the few social occasions I was still made fun of. I met my girlfriend after university. Fortunately she came from another city and she didn't know anything. I told my girlfriend about my story, she remained silent and then hugged me. The following weekend we went to the beach. She insisted to sitting on a bench in front of the motorbike parking lot. We counted and of the couples who arrived by scooter or motorbike, 1/3 had the woman in front and the man sitting in the back. Maybe it was a bit of a silly experiment but it worked. She tried to pick me up for a small ride but we found that riding an R3 with a 6 feet 160 pounds passenger is a bit difficult. We briefly looked around and 2 weeks ago she managed to swap the R3 with an Himalayan. Last weekend we took our first little trip on our own. I feel like a huge weight has been lifted from my soul. My girlfriend finally asked me if I want a motorbike too. I thought about it for a few days but I think I'm happy like this. My girlfriend seemed happy about this. Thank you all. TLDR, during high school I was bullied because one time my mother picked me up with her moped. I talked with my girlfriend and then deal with my fear. She changed her motorcycle with a more comfortable 4.2 model and we have our first ride together. Stories number 20. Aita for refusing to let my fiance's adult son walk me down the aisle and for calling him a placeholder for my dad. I 31F am getting married to my fiance 36M this fall. We have been together for about 4 years. He has a son who is 18 from a previous relationship. I met him when he was 14. We are friendly but not close. He calls me by my first name and we have a polite relationship, but I am not a second mom to him or anything like that. My dad passed away when I was 22. We were extremely close and losing him was really hard on me. Ever since I got engaged, I knew I either wanted to walk myself down the aisle or have my uncle do it, who has been like a second father to me. A few weeks ago, my fiancé brought up the idea of his son walking me down the aisle. He said it would be symbolic, a way of showing that we are officially becoming one family, and that it would mean a lot to his son. I was honestly shocked because it had never crossed my mind. I told him right away that I was not comfortable with that, it felt forced and weird to me. I respect his son, but it would not feel genuine to have him in a role that meant so much to me and was connected to my dad. Apparently he had already mentioned the idea to his son and got his hopes up. When I said no, it hurt his feelings. My fiancé told me I should reconsider for the sake of blending the family. I told him I was sorry his son felt hurt but that it was unfair to expect me to rewrite such a personal moment for appearances. We ended up arguing, and I will admit, I said something too harsh. I said I was not going to have someone who is basically a placeholder for my dad walk me down the aisle. I immediately regretted the wording but the damage was done. Now my fiancé's family is furious with me. His son is not speaking to me. My fiancé thinks I should apologize and reconsider. My mom said she understands my feelings but that I could have said it more gently. I feel like I am being pressured to fake a perfect family dynamic for everyone else's comfort and it feels so wrong. But I also feel awful for hurting his son's feelings. Aita for how I handled this. Stories number 21. Aita for breaking up with my girlfriend after I found out she slept with someone while dating, and lied about it. When I first started dating my now ex, and asked her if she wanted to be exclusive, I asked her 2 questions. Was she seeing anyone else? She said no. And 2. Has she slept with anyone else while dating me? She said no. She did ask me why I asked her that. I told her that I believe that if you sleep with someone else when dating others, that makes us incompatible. Cause to me that means she either doesn't see sex the same way I do, or if she does see it the same way I do, then it means she chose someone else over me. We hadn't slept together by then by the way. So, after that, we were together, for about a year and some months. I found out that she had in fact slept with someone else while dating me. Honestly, there wasn't anything she could have said, but I figured I should let her talk. She said it meant nothing and that she didn't want that to ruin a good thing, and that I shouldn't let something so meaningless ruin our relationship. I told her that she lied to me, and that I was very clear on my end. I told her we were done. She kept insisted that our relationship is good, and that it was a good thing she lied. I told I'm not gonna reward her lying. I do feel kind of guilty to be honest, but she lied to me when I was as clear as possible. Relevant comments. How did OOP find out? Reply, I caught her in a lie about our dating life and another guy she was seeing. She said she hadn't slept with someone else besides me since she some time before her B-day. And we dated around her B-day. So I thought something was fucky. Commenter 1, NTA. How do they not realize saying it was meaningless makes it so much worse? She literally threw away a good relationship for meaningless sex. Reply, well, to me, it doesn't have much of a difference. Meaningless sex, she doesn't see sex as intimate as me because I don't believe in meaningless sex when looking for a relationship. Meaningful sex, she had a close connection with someone else, and for some reason, it didn't work out, leaving me a second choice. Best commenter, she did LOL. You weren't exclusive. She didn't cheat on you. You literally said you would have broken up with her if she was honest to begin with. So you do have an issue with her having a partner prior to your relationship being exclusive. She chose you in the end and you still broke up with her LOL. Dumb. By having the conversation about being exclusive, you would understand that up until that point you were both free to do what you want. If she cheated after the conversation about being exclusive, that's one thing. But what she does prior to that is her business honestly. No offense, but you seem unreasonable and insecure, based on your posts and following comments. Reply, she chose you in the end and you still broke up with her LOL. She chose the other guy first, otherwise, why would she sleep with him? Either that, or sex doesn't have any meaning to her, which is also a deal breaker. Best commenter, so by your standards, it's okay if she dated guys while you were just dating, but it wasn't okay if she slept with any of them? And you think that because you didn't sleep with her until you became exclusive with her that she should have known that? I think I understand. But if that's the case, you're gonna have a hard time in today's dating dynamic. A lot of girls today are likely sleeping with guys they're dating until somebody they are exclusive with someone. I'm not gonna judge your choice, but I'm just telling you it's not really realistic today. So if you get to the point where you start going out with another woman more than 1 or 2 dates, I would make that known pretty quick. Reply, it's my standard. And I keep this simply because I refuse to be anyone's second choice. By the way, if we get to the point where we are about to sleep together, I make this known. My now ex never wanted to sleep with me before I asked for exclusivity. Commenter 2, wait. Are you strictly looking for virgins only? Is that your definition of not being second choice here? And at this point your future GF will be your second choice. Because you just dumped your first choice. Might want to think about that. Reply, no. If you're dating person A and person B at the same time, and sleep with person A before person B, to me that means you like person A more, making person B your second choice. If it doesn't work out and you stop dating both person A and B, then move on to C and D. It doesn't matter to me what happened to person A and B, cause it's a fresh start with person C and D. Does that make sense? To me, it's only a second choice if you have sex with another person while dating others. Update. So my now ex came by to my place to pick up her things. Or wheel, at least that's what I thought she was doing. She said she still wanted to talk about us, that she wanted to stay together, and asked for a chance to hear her out. Against my better judgment, I agreed. I think on some level, I'm hoping to find something to change my mind. Despite what I may seem like, I do love her, but I don't think I can trust her anymore. Sadly, nothing she said really changed my mind. She actually used a lot of the arguments I heard in the last comment section. She told me that she knew the other guy better but liked me way more and that our relationship was way better than anything she had with the other guy. I told her that didn't change my mind, because in my mind, she chose him before me. She told me that wasn't the case, and then I straight up asked her why she slept with him before me then. She told me that it was just different and that it wasn't a comparison. I told her I didn't believe her. She then asked me what I expected her to do. If she told the truth, I'd have broken up with her, and she lied, I'd have still broken up with her. At that point, I knew I just wasted my time talking to her, and I asked her to leave. Thanks for all the support, to be honest. I think my last post made me feel more ready for my ex's visit. Relevant comments. Commenter, I'd like to offer an alternative take. You may not like it, you two were not exclusive when she slept with this other person, correct? She didn't cheat on you. Granted, she lied, which is not great, but I think this could be salvageable if that's the only thing she lied about, never saw him again after you were exclusive, and hasn't lied about anything else. Clearly she was afraid of losing you and the option of being exclusive by telling you. Maybe she didn't know you were as serious about her and she was with you in the beginning. You could give her a tiny bit of grace here. Reply, maybe she didn't know you were as serious about her and she was with you in the beginning. I told her I was looking for a serious relationship right from the start. I was never unclear in my intentions. She said she was looking for the same. Commenter 1, I'm glad you stood your ground and didn't feed into her BS, I hope you find someone that actually respects the relationship, best of luck to you. Commenter 2, unpopular opinion, I think OP put her in an impossible position with an insecure question before they were ever committed. It was really none of his business what she had done and who she had been with, and a gotcha question. Strange as it seems, she lied because she loved him and wanted to be with him. Life, and love, is complicated children. I think he's the AH. Reply, was really none of his business what she had done and who she had been with. Something I learned is that people love to use this excuse as an excuse. They don't want to face consequences for it because they know it's an extremely unattractive trait. People want romance in their life, and it's hard to be romantic to someone you know is sleeping with others. So instead of changing your behavior, you hope that they don't ask, and if they do ask, then, it's none of their business. Stories number 22. Aita for asking my fiancé to cover up her feminine products. I, 32-year-old man, have been living with my fiancé, 27-year-old woman, for the better part of a year. Overall, cohabitating has gone incredibly well. We're both meticulous with our chores, and we generally communicate better than most couples that we know. However, we've lately had a disagreement that's difficult to settle. My fiancée leaves her used period products at the top of open trash cans in bathrooms that guests use, and she does not like that I ask her to cover the discarded products. I am not generally grossed out by the menstrual cycle or by blood. I worked in healthcare for most of my 20s, I'll pick up pads or tampons for my fiancé without feeling awkward, and this may be TMI, but I'm not opposed to period sex. It just doesn't faze me. However, neither I nor our occasional guests should expect to see blood-soaked tampons complete with clots every time that we use the bathroom. It's jarring, seeing the bloody scene in an otherwise clean bathroom without warning. I've tried to come up with minimally invasive solutions, such as my fiancée wrapping her products in toilet paper before discarding them, as past partners have done, or even purchasing a closed-top trash can. My fiancée firmly rejects both of these plans, saying that, if she has to go through the monthly ordeal, I, and by extension our guests, shouldn't get to complain about having to see the aftermath. I'm sympathetic to her experiences, but at the same time, her response feels retributive. On one recent occasion, when guests were coming over for a game night, I pulled some extra toilet paper and gently laid it on top of the trash, covering the bloody products before they arrived. My fiancé noticed this, and confronted me after the guests left, accusing me of being ashamed of her and of going against what we had previously discussed. Taking a step back, this shows that she is intentional about the visible products, enough so that she checked to see if they were still in place. At this point, it feels spiteful. Aita, what would you folks suggest that I do in this situation? Even an intervention that requires no effort on her part, the closed-top trash can, was rejected with prejudice. I love my fiancé, but what could have been a small discussion is becoming a mountain of conflict. Stories number 23. Whipped for purposefully blocking child's view from my yard dogs. Childless person here. My neighbor's 3 years old is a handful. We've had issues with him throwing food, garbage, jewelry, stuffed animals, toys, etc. into our yard. The parents won't do anything about it. I've told the child to stop. We remain friendly enough with the neighbors, but the child has been a source of stress on our neighborly relationship. We have a gap in our shared fence where kiddo loves to visit, sticking his hands and face against the fence to interact with me and my dogs. I don't enjoy these forced interactions, and I don't want him calling for my dogs and coaxing them with food, toys, whatever he has in his hands. He has given them things that are not dog safe, and I'm always having to pick up pieces of chewed food, garbage and wrappers, which I find disgusting and disturbing that they could eat something toxic. My ask of Whipped stems from I know the kid enjoys these interactions. His mom is not super interactive with him, and he is left to entertain himself until the father and brothers get home. I really can't stand this kid, but I feel sorry for him. I want to block the fence strategically with a trellis and by blocking my dogs from the fence line by installing a secondary fence. I am doing this under the guise of new landscaping, but the overall goal is to block this child from my yard. Background: we have had several incidents where the kid came into my property, front yard, unattended and drew on my car and house with a permanent marker. Issues where he broke a planter. The parents view it as him being a child, and I really shouldn't have a problem with their kid doing anything because he is a kid. That's really why I am wondering if it would seem like an obvious move to block the kid. Just trying to avoid more drama. Sorry if that sounds immature to some people, it's hard beefing with your neighbors, lol. Update: this blew up a bit, but I wanted to thank everyone for the tips and advice. And most of all, the overwhelming response that I would indeed not be an asshole. I was expecting the opposite response, or parents telling me that this is normal. I'm glad that my experiences are not normal and there are good parents out there. We have a camera in the back to help watch the dogs, but as many suggested, we will get one in the front of the house to capture any wandering leaving half-eaten food, future damages to our property. The father tries to keep the kid in line, but the mom does nothing to keep him in check. I feel like she is overwhelmed and stuck in her situation. I will look into CPS, but am of course fearful about anonymity. I understand that is not an excuse not to report. I was looking at this as avoiding another rift with the neighbors, but the comments about abuse were very eye-opening to me, as neglect is a form of abuse. I appreciate being reminded of that and am now thinking about this much differently. I am going to move forward and do more than originally planned to create a barrier between the property lines, and will let them know I'll be adding a post, we're talking literally a fence post size gap, to block kiddo from being able to stick arms and face through. Our fence is a box fence, so if you stand a certain way you have full view, and he does stick his little hands between the posts in other areas, so it will be best just to prevent contact along the entire fence line. I appreciate the tips on adding more of a barrier. I will be implementing those. Thank you to those who offered those suggestions. I am taking them. Time to get to work. Stories number 24. A dispute about customer skills is tearing apart my agro-tourism business. My two business partners, and their spouses, and I operate a successful agro-tourism business, including an inn where guests come to enjoy delicious food, luxury accommodations, and the chance to do light agricultural work while being outside in the sunshine and fresh air. I own 70% of the company and they split the remaining 30%. This project was our dream. We left successful city careers to make this happen. We employ about 20 other people, but I'm overall in charge. There's my partner, Alice, Chief Agricultural Officer, and her wife Amy, Head of Guest Services, and my partner John, CFO, and his wife Jen, Executive Chef. Business is booming and the heart of it is the inn. None of that would happen without Amy and Jen. Therein lies the problem. Jen's culinary skills are outstanding, but it's Amy who's transformed the experience into something guests rave about. Amy's job is to shepherd 4 to 12 guests at a time through a multi-day agricultural experience. Spending long hours with each group, she mentors them in their AG work, ensures safety quality control, and sees that they're comfortable and having a good time. From a guest's perspective, she's phenomenal, with stellar reviews, but she has a habit others find annoying: repeating anecdotes, explanations, and jokes. Amy's background is theater and education. A consummate professional, she'd never repeat a story to a guest. She has layers of stories for repeat guests, but she does repeat in front of other employees. Jen finds this grating, disrespectful and rude, as does John. They continually complained and insisted that I speak to her, so I did. I explained that it's hard on others to hear the same things repeatedly. Amy replied that she does it to remember exactly what she needs to say. She compared it to being a teacher or tour guide. Information need to be communicated and she's found effective ways of doing it. She added that verbal patterns, repeating things, are how she keeps things straight with so many groups coming and going. I get that, you do what works. I also came from sales where people constantly use the same stories to make the same points to different clients. Amy asked me directly if it was Jen who complained. I didn't even answer before she said she could tell by my facial expression. Things got worse and tensions are rising. Amy did try to switch it up but said she felt anxious and nervous, especially if Jen was around. She's reverted to her original shtick, which continues to please guests but bothers John and Jen. Jen feels disrespected and unseen because she thinks I took Amy's side. Did I? My solution was to try to coach Amy into creating new dialogue, failed, and allowed Jen and John to withdraw from the client-facing aspects of their job descriptions they previously disliked. This has made a small improvement because they interact less with public Amy, but they still maintain that she overfocuses on the clients to the detriment of her coworkers. This is all complicated by the fact that we have 2 married couples and they're all on the same rung. We all began this project as friends. I just have more experience and capital. We need Jen and her amazing kitchen skills as much as we need Amy. In fact, we need everyone here. I know I blew this one. But what can I do now to fix it? Since you may ask, the partnership is legally drawn up and there are no significant issues with fairness, org chart, work distribution, business plan, money, etc. Up until this problem, we had no real problems. People are in charge of their own areas, but we've been making major decisions via a consensus model. Technically, I have final say, but I'm not sure what's fair here. Omitting Allison's response, but she does point out that repeating stories is a completely normal thing for tour guides to do. Update: things got better, worse, then better again, and all during our busiest months. I owe huge thanks to you and the commenters for the advice. I apologized to Amy. She accepted my apology and resumed her usual banter. I also used Allison's orchestra analogy and other suggestions to explain to Jen and John that Amy's style was simply a part of our business. John seemed to take this to heart, but Jen just grew silent and withdrew even more from guest interaction. Unfortunately, one night while I was recovering from COVID, the guests were clamoring to meet the chef, and Jen was coaxed to join them for dessert. Amy told a story and Jen just snapped, saying, "Amy, when will you stop telling that, expletive, blueberry story? We've all heard it 1,000 times before." Apparently, there was dead silence until one of the guests pointed out that they had not heard the story before and that they were all enjoying the blueberries. Jen stormed off, and Alice called me to tell me what happened. Thankfully, it was the penultimate day of the guest cycle, but we still had to make up for the drama with gifts and discounts. I immediately suspended Jen from any guest interaction, but because we had no replacement, she remained in the kitchen until the end of the season. The day after that incident, I contacted a business life coach who also happened to have a background in family therapy. She agreed to consult at short notice, and we had several difficult sessions with all 5 of us. What emerged was that Jen considers this company her family to the point that she could not wrap her head around the repeating stories as being anything but rude. She compared it to her father, who was in sales, repeating tales that the family had heard many times before to people he'd just met. She was adamant that any real creative could figure out how to utilize new dialogue, and explained that hearing the same thing said the same way over and over made her feel disrespected and invisible because it felt as if Amy were only thinking of herself and not her coworkers. No one should have to hear the same things repeatedly. Amy, Alice, and I disagreed, but most interestingly, John, Jen's husband, took no sides. Our business life coach reported that she felt Jen was far too emotionally invested in the situation and, to our surprise, Jen agreed. Although she is still a part owner on the company, Jen offered to step down as executive chef. She finished out the season without guest interaction and will take some time during our closed period to do some personal work and decide her next move. It was a sad decision for all, but we're slowly working back toward a positive relationship. P.S. It seems several persons involved read this column. Amy was particularly amused by the comments because she worked at Disneyland during college and, yes, actually skippered the Jungle Cruise. Stories number 25. Aita for not giving up my toys collection to Sill's kids. I am 28F and I grew up in poverty. My parents barely kept roof on our head, fed us. But they gave me and my brother proper education. We won scholarships in private schools. But the things other kids had always left us in tears, as we couldn't afford it. We also faced mocking from rich relatives, cousins and schoolmates. We promised to ourselves, we will reach level of success. And won't let others mock us. I studied hard, cleared bank exam at age of 22 and working as manager in bank with six-figure check in my country. My elder brother is even doing better working for international MNC and making double compared to mine. Last year we both purchased duplexes in same building and though the mortgage is high, it is worth the investment in giving our parents good living conditions. He also married an angel Rebecca who herself work at reputable job. I am dating Jack 30M and we just got engaged. He comes from upper middle class family and we are very different. He find my toy room weird for my age. But it is all of those dream collection of toys that I wanted as a kid. Ranging from teddy bears to Barbie dolls to remote cars to PlayStation. It is my holy grail. So he doesn't question it anymore. It even has vintage TV video games from Super Mario to others. His elder sister Trisha 38F and her two kids 12F and 10M visited my house with him. Trisha has always been passive-aggressive towards me and I feel she looks down upon my background. But have never been direct. I showed her around my duplex and she made comments ranging from my walls decoration to furniture. I let it go. When her kids saw my room. They asked me to let them play, I allowed them. The moment she started leaving. Kids asked me give them some of my car and doll collection and my vintage Super Mario. I refused. Jack and Trisha said to me that I am old enough for all this and give some of them to kids who are going to be my family. I still refused. She left in hurry with her kids who started crying after I refused. Jack and I had huge fight afterwards. Note we don't live together but hang out together often at each other's places. He told me to grow up and I told him these collections are my childhood dreams, envy that I have and I am never sharing it with anyone else besides my kids. I told him that when we marry, I will gift to his family members on occasions. But these are my private collections and aren't up for discussion. Now he is giving me cold shoulder. I didn't mean to make kids cry, but even as kid I was taught by my parents that not to demand things at other people's homes. Even when we were poor. Rebecca is on my side too. But my brother says that I am doing same. Like other kids did to us including our cousins. But I don't see it as same. Trisha and her husband are well-to-do. Also we are meeting today and I will tell him the differences in our growing up and why do these toys matter to me. I don't like to talk about my childhood much. But I hope this might open his eyes. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. NTA you might need to rethink your relationship with boyfriend. I'm 56 and I have a doll collection, my husband never told me to grow up or disrespected me over it. Jack and Trisha should know it's rude to ask another person for their things collectibles, besides it's not 100% a certainty that those kids will be family now is it? Reply. Yeah today we are meeting and I am going to open my whole childhood to him and how he won't get it because he was raised in upper middle class home. He isn't a bad person and very compassionate. Volunteer at animal shelters etc. I just don't like to open about my childhood as it triggers my bad days. But it might be game changer for our relationship. Commenter 2. But why do you want to be with someone who doesn't stand up for you when his family crosses boundaries and doesn't support what makes you happy? Commenter 3. I would be afraid he would do something vindictive after marriage, like give them away or sell them. Something tells me he thinks OP will give up the hobby after they're married and living together. Like she won't be allowed to have it anymore. Reply. Nah I am not a doormat. But I believe in working around the relationship. We are together for 2 years. This is only time we fought like this. We will discuss it and if we don't reach common ground. Then yes I will end it. If he fails to understand it. Update. So that day I and Jack have planned a meeting. But sometime before our meet, he called me and he was very emotional. He apologized and told his mother, Riley, indeed put some senses inside his brain. He asked my permission to bring his mom and Trisha. I accepted it. When they arrived, Riley simply asked me to narrate the whole thing. I told her everything about how Trisha and her kids demanded my toys. I told her about the sentimental value of those toys. I told her about passive-aggressive comments of Trisha and how I felt Jack never supported me. Trisha tried to shout, but her mother stopped her and the verbal lashing that she gave to both Jack and Trisha for next few minutes. I wish I could be so confrontational. She told Trisha to discipline her kids and told her that I am going to be her sister-in-law and she need to change her way. If she ever wants a relationship in future. Because I am going to be family. And her daughter-in-law. Jack was emotional and apologized. He said he realized now the importance of all this. I told him I might forgive him, but not forget this. He asked me for a chance. So we are going to therapy. Riley told him that I am a wonderful person and he should learn to value me more. Jack also told Trisha that her hateful comments won't pass again and that if he ever seen her putting me down, he will break contacts with her. Trisha apologized, but I could see it wasn't from heart. I told her we need a break and I won't allow her and her kids at my home for some time. After that Riley ended it. And she and Trisha left. I and Riley were always nice to each other, but not close. This incident has brought us close and we talked even today on call for 30 minutes. Jack is staying with me and has apologized a lot since. We have booked couple therapy and wedding plan is still on. Thanks everyone for feedback. I know many told me to break up and I appreciate it. Jack has been wonderful to me in many other ways. This was a road bump which we overcame. And I believe in working around the relationship. Still I respect all feedback. Take care. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. It's great that your mother-in-law supports you 100%, but I don't know about Trisha. If she comes back to your house with her children, put your collection under lock and key if that's possible. You're not safe from one of the two children trying to steal something from you, and given Trisha's behavior, she would be capable of saying nothing about it. Reply. I have locks in every door and she isn't entering it anytime soon. I will even install a camera there. Commenter 2. None of this matters because you will never be able to trust Jack. You should walk away from this family. They do not deserve you. Reply. I won't let one incident affect 2 years of relationship where he helped me, my family in many other ways. Which are irrelevant to this topic. He surely would have to earn my trust back, but I love him and we are starting the process. Commenter 3. I was raised the same way and like you, now I have plenty of toys. People who threaten my stuff were kicked out of my place. Therapy is great, but I would have a lot of trust issues after that. It's also a need of safety feeling in your own place. I really hope for you he's not lying about pretending to now finally understand to just make the wedding still happening. When are you supposed to get married? Do you plan to get a place together after getting married? Is he okay with you still buying and having all those things afterward? I'm asking because I have so much friends whose husband-boyfriend complains after they buy anything for themselves they did not approve, even if finances are separate. It's taking too much place blah blah blah. Please give some attention to those details in the future. Reply. We are supposed to marry in December. We live nearby and shift either at mine or his house. I will never be doormat, and even if he is pulling an act, which I don't think he is, I will never let him walk over me. Stories number 26. Aita for refusing to apologize to my parents for running away from home several years ago after only letting them know I was okay recently. When I, 23 was 16, I ran away from home and my parents and sister. There was a lot going on at home and it wasn't a healthy environment. My sister had mental health issues since she was young and her behavior was worsening and police involvement was increasing. She's 3 years younger than me, so I was expected to deal with it in a more adult-like way. I wasn't supposed to have a hard time with it, I wasn't supposed to get upset or fear for my safety around her. I was a boy, older and taller than her. She was a girl, younger and shorter than me. It was meant to be okay. My parents never wanted to hear I wasn't okay. Neither did grandparents, aunts, uncles or other family. My breaking point was my sister stabbing me in the hand with a knife after she tried to show me what she wanted to do to herself. She did stuff to herself a lot. It wasn't the first time I'd been hurt or even the first time I saw her do stuff like that to herself. She tried to show me a lot of that stuff over the years. But my parents were mad that I didn't leap for the knife the second I saw her with it, and then they were so busy fussing over her, calling her care team and trying to talk her down, and I was standing there bleeding and they didn't even care. So I left in the middle of the night. I didn't leave a note or take anything with me except 2 changes of clothes that I'd bought myself. I was homeless for almost 2 years. I didn't finish high school. I didn't reach out to anyone in my family. I never intended to reach back out again. I was pissed at them and I was hurt. But I never planned to reach out because nobody had cared. I did all the stuff you're meant to do. I spoke up, I confided in people, I got in touch with other family and teachers, and nobody wanted to help me. I made a pretty good life for myself. I still have a lot to figure out, but I'm happier than I was back at home. It being years later helps a ton too. A couple of months ago I found out through social media that my parents had started to ask where I was and if anyone had seen me or knew where I was. It started not too long before I found it. I looked and there were no signs they'd done anything before to look. That told me a lot. But they were getting more attention for it and it made me reach out to tell them I was okay. I told them to leave me alone. But of course they didn't and I wanted to block them but they wanted to go public again. We talked a little since. They want an apology but I refused. I told them I'm not sorry and I don't regret running away. They freaked out and told me I should realize how reckless and dangerous it was. I told them it was no more dangerous than living with them and my sister. They told me not to be so dramatic. They said my sister was only one girl and would never hurt me the way random creeps on the streets could. They gave my contact info to some of our other family and some of them have tried to call and scold me for not apologizing. I'm on the verge of telling my parents that if they try to shame me for blocking them I can share exactly how little they cared about me. They said I still need to apologize for what I did and they can't believe at 24 I don't see it. Stories number 27. Aita for refusing to apologize to my parents for running away from home several years ago after only letting them know I was okay recently. When I, 23 was 16 I ran away from home and my parents and sister. There was a lot going on at home and it wasn't a healthy environment. My sister had mental health issues since she was young and her behavior was worsening and police involvement was increasing. She's 3 years younger than me so I was expected to deal with it in a more adult-like way. I wasn't supposed to have a hard time with it, I wasn't supposed to get upset or fear for my safety around her. I was a boy, older and taller than her. She was a girl, younger and shorter than me. It was meant to be okay. My parents never wanted to hear I wasn't okay. Neither did grandparents, aunts, uncles or other family. My breaking point was my sister stabbing me in the hand with a knife after she tried to show me what she wanted to do to herself. She did stuff to herself a lot. It wasn't the first time I'd been hurt or even the first time I saw her do stuff like that to herself. She tried to show me a lot of that stuff over the years. But my parents were mad that I didn't leap for the knife the second I saw her with it and then they were so busy fussing over her, calling her care team and trying to talk her down and I was standing there bleeding and they didn't even care. So I left in the middle of the night. I didn't leave a note or take anything with me except 2 changes of clothes that I'd bought myself. I was homeless for almost 2 years. I didn't finish high school. I didn't reach out to anyone in my family. I never intended to reach back out again. I was pissed at them and I was hurt. But I never planned to reach out because nobody had cared. I did all the stuff you're meant to do. I spoke up, I confided in people, I got in touch with other family and teachers and nobody wanted to help me. I made a pretty good life for myself. I still have a lot to figure out but I'm happier than I was back at home. It being years later helps a ton too. A couple of months ago I found out through social media that my parents had started to ask where I was and if anyone had seen me or knew where I was. It started not too long before I found it. I looked and there were no signs they'd done anything before to look. That told me a lot. But they were getting more attention for it and it made me reach out to tell them I was okay. I told them to leave me alone. But of course they didn't and I wanted to block them but they wanted to go public again. We talked a little since. They want an apology but I refused. I told them I'm not sorry and I don't regret running away. They freaked out and told me I should realize how reckless and dangerous it was. I told them it was no more dangerous than living with them and my sister. They told me not to be so dramatic. They said my sister was only one girl and would never hurt me the way random creeps on the streets could. They gave my contact info to some of our other family and some of them have tried to call and scold me for not apologizing. I'm on the verge of telling my parents that if they try to shame me for blocking them I can share exactly how little they cared about me. They said I still need to apologize for what I did and they can't believe at 24 I don't see it. Stories number 28. Aita for accepting a prosthetic leg after cancer, even though my 11-year brother thinks it's unfair and my mum agrees with him. I, 18F, had bone cancer. It started in my thigh and spread fast. The only way to stop it was to amputate above the knee. I was 16 when I lost my leg. I'm 18 now, and just barely putting myself back together. The last 2 years have been a whirlwind of chemo, pain, isolation, and feeling like I was just fading. I missed most of school. Missed friends. Missed being a teenager. And when it was all over, I was left with a stump, a pile of trauma, and no real plan for how to feel human again. The doctor said I was a candidate for a high-functioning prosthetic, a bionic leg. It wasn't just cosmetic. It would give me a shot at walking properly again, going to uni on my own, even being able to do stairs without crawling. It's expensive, though. The NHS covered some, but not all. That's when my mum stepped in. She said we could use part of a savings fund she'd kept for emergencies and future needs, some of which was apparently meant for my little brother, 11M. He's neurodivergent, and has always needed a bit more help. He's smart and sweet, but also very emotionally intense. My mum calls him her sunbeam, and honestly, the house has revolved around him my entire life. She helped me get the prosthetic. It changed everything. For the first time since the amputation, I could walk more than a few meters without crutches or collapsing from exhaustion. It's not perfect, but it's given me a future. Now here's where things went sideways. Last week, my little brother had what my mum calls a bad emotional day. He told her he was sad because everyone paid attention to me and I got a robot leg and he didn't get anything. He said it was unfair that I got something cool and expensive when he didn't. Instead of explaining the obvious, that I lost a leg, that this wasn't a gift, that it wasn't about fair, my mum sat me down and said maybe she shouldn't have spent so much on me without thinking of how it might affect him emotionally. I didn't know what to say. She said she regrets not waiting until he was old enough to understand that he's very sensitive, and I need to try and see it from his side. And now I feel like the villain. For surviving. For walking again. For not being smaller, quieter, easier to ignore. I didn't ask for any of this. I didn't ask to lose my leg. I didn't ask for her money. I didn't ask to be born into a family where even surviving cancer somehow feels like a competition I was supposed to lose. So, AITJ for accepting a bionic leg, knowing it came from a fund my mum also set aside for my younger brother, and knowing he's hurt by it, because right now, I feel like I'm being punished for not dying. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, NTJ, but your mom and brother are. You missed some important years because you freaking had cancer and you needed a prosthetic to walk and do everyday things. I wonder if your mom would change her tune if she had to carry you everywhere or push you around in a wheelchair. She'd have to have your home more accessible and her vehicle. Your brother is the golden child unfortunately. If you didn't have the prosthetic and your brother made some comment about your leg, your mom would probably agree with that. There is no winning in this situation. What does your mom consider an emergency? If it's not to pay your child's medical bills, then what is it for? If you're still living with your mom and entitled brother, I hope you get out soon. None of what happened is your fault. Reply, I am guessing for my lil brother's emergencies. Commenter 2, your mother is insane. You lost your leg. Short of losing a limb himself, there is nothing your brother could suffer to compare. Your prosthetic isn't some expensive toy, it's a medical device that allows you to walk, which you otherwise would not be able to do. Ask your brother if he wants to trade, he can have the bionic leg, provided he agrees to have his own leg surgically removed. Reply, I did and he started crying I can't stop laughing. Commenter 3, NTJ. Your mom is though for not talking to your little brother about why you deserve the leg. What isn't fair is that you got cancer, lost your leg, and missed out on years of your life. If you're in the UK, get away from your mom ASAP, see what programs are available to you for education, trade school, housing, etc. Update 1, hi again. I wasn't planning on posting a full update, but honestly, I don't even know how to process what just happened, and I need to get it out somewhere. Quick summary, I lost my leg to cancer at 16, I'm 18 now. Got a high-end bionic prosthetic with help from my mom. My little brother, 11M, who's always been treated as the special one, got upset that I had something cool and expensive. My mom made me feel guilty for surviving. Anyway, yesterday I came home from work. I do a few shifts a week at a local cafe to save for uni. I had my prosthetic charging in my room, on its dock like I always do. It's super delicate while charging because the joints are exposed and the internal circuits are vulnerable. I found my brother in my room. He had unplugged the charger. He was trying to make it move manually, bending the knee joint, yanking the ankle around to see if it would walk on its own. I yelled at him to stop, but it was too late. The main knee motor made this awful grinding sound and then the whole leg sagged like a broken doll. He dropped it and ran downstairs crying. I just stood there holding the pieces. The leg is dead, totally dead. Those things aren't built for rough handling, they're expensive, sensitive, custom built to match my body. It's not something you can fix at a random shop. It has to go back to the manufacturer. Repairs cost thousands. Even assuming it's reparable, it'll take months. I went to my mum absolutely shattered, thinking at least this she'd take seriously. She cried, hugged my brother, and said, he didn't mean it. He's just curious. Then she told me, you need to be more understanding. He's only 11. It's not like he knew how important it was. I honestly don't remember much after that. I just felt myself shutting down. No apology. No promise to help fix it. No acknowledgement that without that leg, I can't walk more than a few meters without pain. That I can't go to work. That I can't go to uni like this. That I'm being dragged back to being helpless because a kid wanted to play with my body. The final blow. She said, it was in my room. Charging. In my private space. Now I'm trapped. I can't afford repairs on my own. The grant money is long gone. Insurance might cover some of it, maybe, but the deductible is massive. And my mum made it very, very clear she won't be helping again. I don't even know what to do. I feel invisible. Disposable. Like the only acceptable version of me is the one who quietly disappears into the background so her sunbeam can shine. I survived cancer. I lost my leg. I fought to be able to stand on my own again. And now it's broken because an 11-year-old thought it looked fun, and no one cares. So, I guess that's my update. Relevant comments. OOP's location so she could reach out to a hospital or program that can help with replacing her prosthetic leg. Reply, I live in Scotland. Commenter 1, I'm gonna say all that needs to be said. You're a legal adult, it's time to take legal action. Commenter 2, tell every damn adult you know. All of them. Each and every relative, every parent of a friend, and get a lawyer. This is a very open and shut case. Your parents should have housing renters insurance that will cover the replacement cost. I'm assuming you are on some sort of insurance plan, you mentioned that. Call them and sick them on your parents. It might be more insured than you think. But, you need courts for this. This isn't, my little brother knocked over the Lego Death Star I spent 2 months putting together. This is more along the lines of, my brother stole my car and wrecked it. It's major. And legally, your parents are liable. Tell every damn adult out there what happened. There's a very non-zero chance that your parents will get read the riot act and shamed into actually parenting, and an equally non-zero chance you'll end up moving in with an aunt or uncle or friend until you're able to go to college. This is not small, it is not minor. The law is on your side. I pay taxes to support a judicial system, please use it. Report the theft and vandalism to the police, immediately. Commenter 3, legally, she's required to pay because her child broke it, even though she's your mom, that's destruction of property, it was put up in a safe place. Unfortunately, getting her to pay will be very hard. I don't know if it would make it worse, but if you were to somehow make a post publicly asking if anybody had any ideas. And or help not necessarily put them in a bad negative light, but bring light to the situation. Maybe the actions on your mother will be for her to correct the way he acts. But unfortunately, I don't see it happening. Update 2, hi again. I didn't expect this many people to care. Honestly, just having strangers tell me I wasn't crazy or selfish meant more than I can explain. I wanted to give a final update, because a lot has happened since the last post. After my brother broke my prosthetic, and my mum basically blamed me for it, something inside me cracked. It wasn't anger, not really. It was this cold, heavy finality, like realizing a door had closed and no matter how much I knocked, nobody was going to open it. I stayed in the house a few more days. It was unbearable. Every time I saw my mum and brother, it was like nothing had happened. Like my life hadn't just been shattered again. No offer to fix the leg. No plan to replace it, just silence. Awkward family dinners. My brother bragging about how he figured out how the robot leg worked, like it was some science project. So I made a decision. I called my dad, he and my mum are divorced, I've always been closer to him but didn't want to burden him before. I told him everything. He was furious. He showed up the next morning with his truck and said, pack what you need. You're coming with me. It wasn't a dramatic screaming match. I didn't even cry. I packed a duffel bag. Grabbed my schoolwork, my clothes, what was left of my dead prosthetic. I left behind photos, decorations, anything that felt too tangled up with who I used to be, before cancer, before everything. When I walked out, my mum barely looked at me. My brother cried and said, don't be mad at me. My mum said, she'll come back when she calms down. She still doesn't get it. I'm not coming back. I'm living with my dad now. His house is smaller, but it's quiet. Peaceful. Safe. I can charge my broken prosthetic without fear. I can walk, limp, around without being afraid someone will sabotage me again. He's already helping me contact the prosthetic company to see about repairs or replacement. He said he'll co-sign a loan if insurance won't cover enough. He said, you didn't survive all this just to end up crawling again. I have a lot of healing to do. Emotionally, too, but for the first time in 2 years, I can breathe. And when I eventually walk properly again, whether it's on this leg or a new one, it'll be because I fought for myself. Not because someone gave me permission. Thanks for reading, for caring, and for reminding me that surviving isn't selfish. Top comments. Commenter 1, your dad is awesome. You need to go no contact with your mom, once you can. She is abusive, and enables, and encourages your brother to abuse you. The only time she is happy is when you are hurting. Commenter 2, sweetheart, you did so well. Your dad sounds like an amazing man, and I'm so happy one of your parents are 100% behind you. Unless your mother can wake up and see exactly how her child, you, is hurting so much, then you made the right decision. Please keep us updated on your progress. We would love to hear how you're getting on. Much love on your healing journey. Commenter 3, please file a police report against your mom and brother. This is absolutely necessary for insurance purposes, and the company may be more inclined to help you if you have proof you're not scamming them. Glad you got out. Stories number 29. Aita for opening up to my son's therapist about his mother's affair in front of her. When my son was a year old, his mother had an affair and left us. I won primary custody, and she only sees him on the weekends due to moving 3 hours away to continue her affair. We are civil but certainly not friends. My son is now 4 and is having behavioral problems at school. He hits other kids and seemingly has no remorse whatsoever. I know at 4 that isn't uncommon, but it needs to be addressed nonetheless. I found a local counselor who works with kids and made an appointment. I told his mother about the appointment, and she decided to come. My parents also got divorced when I was very young, so I know firsthand what it can do to kids when they feel like they need to be different people at different houses. I see that in my kids, and I hate it for them. I told the therapist at the intake about his mother's affair and her leaving us when he was only a year old, that she makes him call her affair partner, Dad, and that she speaks ill of me to him, which makes him not respect me and act out. We are not her patients, so I didn't do that out of animosity because I know she wouldn't care. I did it because it is relevant and definitely affecting my son. His mom, like all adulterers, denies guilt for what she did and was very upset at me for telling his therapist those things. I felt they were necessary in helping her understand how our son might be feeling. Aita. Stories number 30. Aita for saying, there goes the neighborhood, to my new Middle Eastern neighbors. The meth heads who lived next door disappeared sometime a few months ago and I came home from work Friday to see new people moving their things in. My wife and I walked over to say hello and I jokingly said as we walked up, well there goes the neighborhood. They kinda laughed, but admittedly awkwardly, and we introduced ourselves and they introduced themselves and etc. etc. They were very nice, but when we mentioned we often have barbecues and a few of the neighbors join us, they seemed to make excuses for why they probably wouldn't be able to make it. No big deal. We came home and as soon as we were in the door, my wife rounded on me saying how fucked up it was that I said, there goes the neighborhood, because they are Middle Eastern people. It honestly never even entered my mind what race they were except maybe in a passing thought. We live in a very diverse city with a lot of Hispanic and Middle Eastern people, but admittedly a kinda white neighborhood, and they just seemed like people moving in next door. The whole joke stemmed from the fact that the people who lived there before were crazy and on drugs and homophobic. They told us all about it, and the new people seemed like a normal family. I didn't end up mentioning this to the new neighbors though, but only because I didn't want to seem like I was talking about people behind their backs. I still think without the context, the joke was fine, but my wife is insisting that it was distasteful and racist and makes me look like the racist white guy next door. I think she's being way too sensitive and she's the one who is singling out people by even imagining they would be offended by it. So Aita for saying, there goes the neighborhood, to the Middle Eastern family moving in next door. Edit. I should also add that my wife thinks naming the Wi-Fi pretty fly for a Wi-Fi is racist, so I think she's hypersensitive, but well-intentioned. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Without context, it's difficult to see how they would have interpreted that as anything other than a shot at them. Reply. Should I try to explain or is the damage done? I seriously never meant it bad. It's been a relief to see some normal people next door and I don't want them to feel about us the way we felt about the crazy people who lived there before. Commenter 2. I think you absolutely should explain it. I'm sure they'll feel better about you if you do. Reply. I will do that. Let's just hope the explanation doesn't also go off the rails with my awkward attempts at humor. Commenter 3. Honestly, that's a strange thing to say to a neighbor when you meet for the first time. I understand why they would be apprehensive. Reply. I often make uncomfortable and stupid jokes. I'm a little awkward. I think it's from an old stupid 80s or 90s movie though. Commenter 4. Dude, a joke with no context is not a joke, it's just a random rude comment. Reply. There's a fine line between a rude comment and a bad joke, but there is a line. If you look really, really closely at the line it has a tiny little word, intent. It's hard to see though, and that's why after about the 15th bad joke, you retire from comedy and resort to only joking with your kids, and that is the genesis of the dad joke. Commenter 5. YTA. You made a racist joke that has some convoluted, meaning that for starters even when you explain it doesn't make sense, your shitty neighbors left, new ones come in, so what? This old racist cliché doesn't work even as an in-joke, and beyond that you didn't even try to give your new neighbors the background info to understand why your racist comment was really just a dumb comment, you just let them think you intended the blatant racist thing. Reply. To be clear, I never even really considered the joke as racially charged. It was an old dumb 90s movie about criminals moving in next door. I never even considered it being used that way until my wife pointed it out. I researched it a little, and while it didn't originate as a racist sentiment, just general hatred of newcomers and other white people, the Irish, it was definitely co-opted by the people who opposed to segregation, and I therefore fully agree with you. But it didn't have anything to do with race as I said it in my mind, but that's not really what counts, so I have to try to make it right. Commenter 6. But I get the joke, and it was not a shot at them, but they couldn't have known. Give them a round of cookies or something and apologize for any misunderstanding there may have been, and get on with being good neighbors. Take care. Reply. Thanks friend. I will do that. I think I'll have to explain the crazy ex-neighbors too. Within 10 minutes of meeting us they told us to stay out of nearby town, because it's the homo capital of the world. My theory is that they met their first gay person in this city and their tiny little fried brains couldn't cope. They had what looked like 20 adults living in a house with one little old lady, and none of them ever worked. Strange men would just pop up in the yard when my wife was outside alone with the dog and try to bum cigarette money. And we constantly found empty liquor bottles behind the house where people were obviously lounging in the dark. I'm not normally judgmental about how people live their lives, but they made it hard not to frown at them, and they made my wife and kids feel unsafe. I felt bad for one of them once and paid him to do some odd jobs for me. He took the money, ran home to get his phone, and then never came back. Then one day there were no lights on in the place and we haven't seen them since. So it was a relief to see a nice family move in, and that's where my stupid joke originated. I suppose I should have explained about the other people, but it didn't seem to suit the conversation and I didn't know at that moment what I had even done. Update. I walked across the street to talk to the neighbors when I took my wife's embarrassing poofy dog out tonight. I made an attempt to explain the joke, I shouldn't have. This is roughly the conversation. So I just wanted to make sure you guys didn't take offense to the dumb joke I made the other day. He looked a little puzzled. I said, there goes the neighborhood, jokingly, like you guys were ruining the neighborhood by moving in, but what I really meant was that you guys were making the neighborhood better because the people who lived here before were a little scary. I really just wanted to make sure you knew the joke didn't have anything at all to do with you guys being Muslim. To which he replied, we are not Muslim. We are Roman Catholic, and I didn't hear any joke. It took all my willpower to not bust out laughing, which would have made me look more like a lunatic. I said, sorry, again, though I don't know what I was even apologizing for at that point, and he said something like, no problem, or, no worries, and then I scurried back across the street. I didn't even mean to say Muslim. I meant to say Middle Eastern because I know not all Middle Eastern people are Muslim, but I don't think even that would have helped the interaction be less awkward or make me look any less ignorant because I don't think they are Middle Eastern. I honestly couldn't tell if he was offended or not. Now we are just keeping the curtains closed forever. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Maybe don't try to be funny, just be very clear about your apology. Reply. I attempted to. It didn't work out so well. They aren't Muslims, I don't think they are even Middle Eastern, and I don't think they even really paid attention to what I said as I walked up to them, so I made a situation that was awkward for me, awkward for us all, to the point that I don't want to go outside the front of the house anymore. I updated the original post with the gory details. I still blame my wife. Stories number 31. Aita for ruining my daughter's dream Disney World marriage proposal. My 51F daughter Sarah, 29F, is a lesbian who is now engaged to Lily, 32F. During Sarah's childhood, on multiple occasions, she had told me that her dream place to get engaged was Disney World. When Lily told me she wanted to propose to my daughter, I suggested Disney World. For Sarah's 29th birthday, her birthday present was that Lily and I were taking her to Disney World for her first time there. Sarah seemed so happy. This part is relevant to later events. She wore gray sweats, sneakers, and no makeup. While having fun, she got sweaty and stinky, her words. She looked the happiest I've ever seen my daughter. I was filming her with my phone. Later that day, Lily proposed to Sarah and Sarah said yes, then kissed her. I thought my daughter got her dream marriage proposal. But later that week, Lily expressed to me that Sarah told her that she didn't like how both of them looked and smelled on her 29th birthday. That Sarah said if she had known this was going to be a proposal place instead of just a birthday present, she would have made sure that both of them looked like a princess. I told Lily to let me tell Sarah that Disney World was my idea, but Lily said she doesn't want me to take the blame. I had to beg Lily to allow me to take the blame before she gave me permission. When I told Sarah that Disney World was my idea, she lost it on me. She said how could I allow her to look that way on her proposal. That I should have made sure she looked like a princess, and made sure the proposal came early in the day so she doesn't get messy having fun before the proposal. Despite her telling me Disney World was her dream proposal place, she was completely surprised. Am I the asshole? Stories number 32. As a trans woman, it is astonishing how poorly the transitions are treated by many in the trans community. Before I start, I am happily a trans woman and would never transition myself. With the rise of egg culture, neopronouns and people using its pronouns, the greater trans community has in many ways lost the plot. By watering down what it means to be trans, people who are not trans are being convinced they are trans. People are sold a story that they can create their own gender, like it's a fashion style. Stories of transition in the trans community are often hand-waved away because detransitioners are often assumed to be bad actors. And if you transition, you will get no support from the trans community. You will likely be labeled a TRF, because it is a common conspiracy theory in the trans community that detransitioners are largely just gender-critical shills. This scares people away from transitioning if they feel that transition isn't right for them. I feel terrible for the many people who have been falsely led to believe they are trans, and are stuck in this awful scenario. Stories number 33. Entitled, Client Learns That Professionals Can in fact walk away. I work as an engineer. I do some consulting on the side, but typically only for people I know and as a favor. A good friend asked me to help his in-laws who were doing some fairly massive renovations additions. I agreed solely because he asked me to. This is not something I have any interest or need in doing except as a favor. It's an old house and had can of worms written all over it with some of the changes they wanted to do. Now he warned me that the MIL can be unpleasant, but that was an understatement. She seemed to think that because I was being paid, I charged probably 1/10 what a business would, that she could snap her fingers at me like a servant. I had a few unpleasant emails with her, but it was tolerable. She was rude when I was pointing out issues with their plans, but nothing too extreme. That changed when I started trying to find a time for me to stop by and inspect a few areas of the house to verify some information. I offered times to stop by on the weekend, but that didn't work for her. Tried evening times, still a no. Nope, she wanted me to stop by during my office work hours because that was best for her. When I told her no, this gets done on the weekends or in the evening, she went from rude to incredibly hostile. Telling me that she is paying me, LOL, and that I work with her availability. Not the other way around. CC'd my friend in on the chain, told them I was out and to have fun working with whoever they get. Friend apologized, I said no worries, not my problem anymore. She emailed back quite stunned that I was walking away, telling me that it's not how business is conducted. I didn't bother responding. About 3 weeks later I get an email from the husband now asking me if I would reconsider, and he promises that his wife won't speak to me or be involved in any way. I hear from my friend that while the quotes came back much higher, which was tolerable for them, but it was how long the wait was. They just bought this house and wanted to move in ASAP, but it's an incredibly busy time of year for the industry. Turns out when companies you reach out to are drowning in work and you have a potentially convoluted and messy project, they aren't chomping at the bit to get your business. So now they are going to lose the trades they lined up because design would be a month or 2 out. I passed on the request as I struggled to believe she would be kept in check and had no desire to bail her out. My friend didn't care, said it was nice watching her attitude give her consequences that actually affect her. Stories number 34. My 27M, best friend, 27M, confessed to me he tampered with a condom resulting in a friend's 25F pregnancy. I don't know what to do. So, there's actually more to this story than just tampering with the condom, but that's the main point. I'm 27M, married to my wife 27F. About 4 years ago my wife met this girl, and they became best friends and she started hanging around us. She was always quite shy, and when she met my wife she had never had her first kiss or been on a date. One night, I remember a few of the guys joking about who could take her V card, and my best friend was betting he could do it. I never told my wife or any of the girls about that. Over time he seemed like he actually liked her and continued to ask her out and she rejected him. I assumed he would give up at some point. Like 5 or 6 months ago he shows up to golf bragging about finally convincing her to go out with him. Within a few weeks was then bragging he finally convinced her to have sex with him, and then I think about 3-4 weeks later they told us she was pregnant. Last night we were drinking and he told me he messed with the condom. He said she told him she wasn't on birth control, as she had never done anything and wasn't planning on it, and when she told him that he said he thought it would be his only chance to keep her, he went on about how he'll give her a good life and said she would be better off because she always thought she didn't want kids. He also told me the night he took her virginity, aka the night she got pregnant, that she wasn't sure about it and it took a lot of convincing. Worst part is, she's extremely depressed. She has expressed to my wife she never wanted this, she's scared and not ready. She moved in with him already and he proposed when she told him she was pregnant, so they've went all in on this. Do I tell her? Or my wife? She also told my wife she was just grateful he was stepping up and taking care of her and she didn't want to do it alone. So at this point I don't know if I tell anyone or not. At the same time, listening to him talk about it made me feel sick, and if it were my little sister I probably would have killed him. Edit, I should also add we live in Texas. There were no options other than adoption for women here.